Week Live Athletics on BBC Two today, with coverage from Serbia on day one at the European Championships.
Performance from Katarina Johnson-Thompson. She wins the gold medal.
Michelle Hansen, determined and fast. Oh, it's massive. It is a new world indoor record.
Christie storming through, and Christie takes the gold. Hallen gets the gold.
Todd Bennett on his way to gold, Jory. He's won it all the way from gun to tape. That is a new world indoor record.
26th Street and should have the class to bring this home for Great Britain.
Coe coming away, looking full of fight, and Coe could have a remarkable record, and does.
It'll be all about Jason Gardner for European indoor titles.
It's all or nothing now. Oh, she's got it. Holly Bleasdale is the champion.
And Jansen's holding him, and Jansen wins it. He is the new European indoor champion. And Sally Gunnell coming for a brilliant victory. She took the race apart.
Richard Kilty is already moving away. It's going to be gold for Britain. Richard Strachan bringing it home. Great Britain get the gold. Mo running towards his first title. It's gold for Mo Farah and Great Britain.
Hello, good morning and welcome to the European Indoor Championships, the 14th edition of these championships, and this year they come from the Serbian capital, Belgrade. Lots of British successes over the years, as you've just seen, and we're looking forward to a lot more this weekend. Well, Belgrade translates as the White City, with thankfully no snow around, even though it is still, I guess, the back end of winter. In fact, it's a beautiful day outside, but we're very, very safely ensconced here inside for what promises to be, as ever, a very, very exciting and busy 3 days. You won't miss a single minute of it. We're here this morning on BBC Two right the way through until midday with all of the early action. And then on the BBC Sport website, our coverage will continue after midday with the women's pentathlon and a couple of the hurdles, women's 60 hurdles heats. And we'll be back later on BBC Two for the afternoon session at 3 o'clock. Well, as I said, plenty for Great Britain to cheer about over the years, and we're looking forward to more from what is a very, very good team here at these championships. And speaking of good teams, good morning, folks. Our regular team members, Denise and Paula, are here, and welcome to Tony Minicello.
Thank you.
I've got to say former coach of Jessica Ennis-Hill.
Yes.
I never liked the word former, but sadly times move on. Denise, I'll begin with you. European Indoor Championships is a busy 18 months or so of championships coming up, but it starts here.
It does start here. I think it's always a difficult one post-Olympics to see who will actually turn out. A lot of athletes deciding they might give it a miss. However, I'm pleased to say that Britain have got a really good team, as you said, and a lot of the other countries competing this weekend have chosen to use this event to field their younger athletes alongside some of their more established. So I'm looking forward to a good weekend.
Well, talking about more established stars, I don't know if we can say that really. To a lot of people, Laura Muir is a name they're just beginning to find out about. But a big weekend for her, Paula, because she has yet to win a medal at the championship.
Yeah, it's a huge weekend for her. She's proven time and time again, and particularly in this indoor season so far, that she can go out, she can really lay it on the line, and she can run very fast, she can push herself very hard and run those records. What she needs to prove here is that she can handle the rounds, race tactically, and come away from here having come in as the world leader in those events. To leave with those gold medals would be really important for her, and it's a tough ask today because she's got 3,000 metre heats this morning, end of the morning, 11:30 or so, and then she's got to come back 4 and a bit hours later and run a 1,500 metre heat. So she's the only one who has actually come out and declared in both events.
Yeah, there was a few of them had entered both, but she's the only one who's actually declared overnight that she's definitely doing both.
Yeah, and she's got big contenders in Klosterhalfen and Aoi up against her in that 1500 metres, and they've chosen just to focus on that.
Well, Laura will be in action a little bit later. As I said, a busy morning, and it always gets underway with the pentathlon. No KJT here,
No.
which is sad, but you must be looking forward to watching Tiam.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how Tiam carries the mantle of being Olympic champion. That'll be the interesting thing. But also within the field, there's a couple of youngsters, 18, 19-year-olds, a Ukrainian girl and a Swiss girl. It'll be interesting to see how that new emerging talent's coming through in the event.
Well, Tony, we're looking forward to listening to some of your coaching expertise as ever across the weekend. I mean, these guys are pretty good as well, but we look for you for the bit more technical stuff.
Thank you.
But I have to ask you, you've recently received a warning for British Athletics around your conduct, a written warning you received from them. Just reflections, and maybe you can give us some thoughts on that.
It's difficult for me to comment because it's in the hands of my solicitors, and there is an ongoing discussion with British Athletics, so that is being done behind the scenes. So what I can say is that I think if you look at the coach-athlete relationship, it's a very, very tight, very close relationship that you get into. I mean, if you look at Jessica Ennis's quote from her book, she said that it was a love-hate relationship that ultimately gave her more joy than she could ever dreamed or wish for. But it is that. A coaching role is 24/7, 365 days. You're never not the coach. And yes, there's an amount of challenging an athlete, but there's also an amount of consoling athletes. It's a very tough relationship. But if you look at the funding for coaches, you get no experience, or you get experience, sorry, but you get no training in how that is and how you work in relationships, stuff like that. There's very few coaches are funded. They do it all voluntary. So I think a lot of federations don't really understand what goes into coaching.
Well, actually, that's a good point to throw it to you two, I guess. I mean, we live in different times. I mean, I can remember, maybe for you guys who, not as old as me, but it was a very much more of a loose kind of environment in which we all lived in. But it's different times now, Denise.
It's different times, welfare and wellness of the athletes, and as you rightly have to point out, of the coaches, has to be taken into consideration. The more support for the coaches in particular, but it is a very, very unique relationship, especially one that requires that day-to-day, hour-by-hour intense relationship where the personalities do vary, and the larger the group, the more personalities you're going to have. And that all comes down to the coaching ability then to know how to stimulate, how to take someone down, how to infuse, how to empower. And it's not always easy. I had a challenging coach. I just used to sometimes just walk off. But so
Remember?
We all know about him. But there is a fine line, and it is about respect ultimately. And it's not just the coach and athlete; it's about officials and everyone involved. I mean, you only have to look at what happens in football. The athletes themselves, the sports people, speak appallingly to the officials. I mean, you need to stop.
And emotions run high in sport. I mean, often in the arena. I mean, without giving you too much embarrassment, Paul, everyone can probably remember yourself and your husband, on TV.
Yeah.
Emotions run high at times, not only in the arena, but in training as well, because people are stressed about what's going on, sometimes the coach, sometimes the athlete.
Well, it's a high-pressure environment, and in a high-pressure environment, you've got to have that respect and that understanding there. And I think the coach-athlete relationship has to be so close, it has to be so special, that those emotions come much closer to the surface. And then, of course, you put yourself into the arena itself, and they come even closer. And it's been able to manage those. And I think Denise is right, it's the respect there. It has to be there across the board, and as much from the athlete as from the coach, as from the governing body as well. And it's understanding the importance of the coach, and that coaches really need to be looked after. We need to have good coaches to be able to bring through the good athletes, and to be able to have that network feeding the athletes through to this level.
Just to come back to bring that full circle, you finished, Tony, by saying that the governing bodies need to be have a bit more of a role in this. I mean, is there anything particularly you'd like to see them doing?
I think if you look, a lot of federations and governing bodies have an athlete commission, but you look for the coaches commission, you look for a coaches association. Those things don't exist in Britain. And I think that's a real faux pas when you look at how we're encouraging people into coaching and how much performance sport. There's a huge difference between the performance end and what you do at the top end than what you do at the club end with youngsters. Not that that's not valuable, but it's very, very different. So I think that kind of representation in decision-making processes, setting policy, and also people to go to if you get problems, that you can ring somebody up and ring your coaches commission and have a discussion.
Well, it's certainly a talking point. We've got plenty of them over the weekend, plenty of action to look forward to as well. As I said, we're hoping for plenty of British success. But this morning, here's just a few of the names you can look forward to seeing. Olympic heptathlon champion Nafi Thiam is the one to watch and will be the one to beat in the 5-event pentathlon. Well, there are no hurdles to jump here for Ailey Doyle. She takes on the regular 400 metres. One of her main rivals could well be her teammate, the youngster Lavia Nielsen, who's been making her own headlines. And we've already mentioned her, the flying Scotswoman, perhaps the queen of the track here, could well be Scotland's Laura Muir, going for the distance double. She's in the 3,000 qualifying this morning. And one man who doesn't have to come down this morning, the 60-metre hurdle heats first round, not taking place for Andy Pozzi, so he can now just look forward to the semi-finals later on today. So let's have a look at the full timetable for this morning. As we said, Nafi Thiam going in the second of the hurdles in the pentathlon. That's coming up in just a minute or so. Dan Bramble in long jump qualification, very busy in the arena this morning. Ailey and Lavia in the 400 metres. Watch out for Pavel Majlak. No British men in the men's 400 metres. We might chat about that a little bit later on. Rachel Wallader in the shot put qualification. Then we've got the 800s. Shalana Oscan-Clark in the women's. Guy Learmont and Kyle Langford going in the men as well. They're pretty tough qualification rounds as well. And then the women's 3,000 metres round one with Laura Muir, joined by Eilish McColgan and Steph Twell, and we'll finish this morning here in BBC Two with the 60-metre hurdles round one. And as we said earlier on, we'll then move on to the BBC Sport website. Right, well, that's it from us for the time being. I'm delighted to say I can now hand over to the commentary box and say a very good morning to Colin Jackson and Andrew Cotter.
Good morning, good morning. Welcome to this this fine arena, which Steve has been talking about a little bit so far. Close to the Eurovision Song Contest in 2008. I'll get that one in early. Not a huge crowd in this morning. You can see a British flag over on the far side. Hardcore supporters. And I'm sure it will get busier over the weekend as well. It is, after all, Friday morning and still very early as well. As we get ready for two heats of the 60 hurdles in the women's pentathlon, 5 events here. And Nafi Thiam, who I think is outstanding clear favourite to win this title. She goes in the second of the heats. The slower hurdlers going in the first one. You see, we're lacking some hurdlers at the moment. Still to arrive. So we're going to chat, I think we're going to chat a little bit with Steve Backley and Colin Jackson about the event. But you hear some noise there, some noise. It was Eurovision-esque noise. And I think the athletes are about to be introduced. These are the ways to contact us on Twitter, at BBC Sport. Facebook as well. We're with it. I'm quite excited about this razzmatazz. It's Bianca Salming, who's first to appear. Goodness me, this might take some time. Who's fourth at the World Junior Championships last year, Salming. And this has done, the draw for the hurdles is done on your season's best time. So the slower hurdlers of the pentathletes going in this first heat. Laura Arte of France, who was third at the French Indoor Championships. And again, as Denise was talking about in the studio, a lot of the countries are choosing to blood their youngsters and see some hope for the future in these championships. Great experience coming to major championships. Hanna Padatskaya of Belarus, getting her introduction to the crowd, the gathering on the far side. Lucia Slanitskova of There's like a Bella Quaresma actually transferred to Portugal, for whom she now runs from Sao Tome in 2014. There are actually a couple of athletes running in this first heat, though, who might be contenders for medals come the end. And I think this is the first of Yana Maximova of Belarus. There's the European Indoor Championship silver in 2013. Decent hurdler as well, 8:44 her personal best. But her season's best slightly down on that. That's why she finds herself in the first heat. And Alina Shuk of Ukraine. This is the talent that a lot of people are getting excited about. Just turned 18 a couple of weeks ago, but already showing plenty of promise. And well, I'd say it's a pending World Junior Indoor record that she holds at the pentathlon, yet to be confirmed. Holder of the World Youth Best at heptathlon.
60 meters hurdles, women's pentathlon.
So this is the first of the two heats of the women's pentathlon, just 5 events indoors. And again, all about times. If you're new to multi-eventing, it's all about your times and your distances and your heights, but they convert into points, add them up at the end. And again, rather sad that there's no British involvement in this, with Katrina Johnson-Thompson injured. Morgan Lake concentrating at the moment on the high jump, but she's going to be doing pentathlon, heptathlon going forward. And of course, Jessica Ennis-Hill having retired. So it's really clear for Nafi Thiam, who goes in the next heat to dominate this event. But look out for Shuk there in lane 8 as a threat. Perhaps not so much here, but going forward with the talent she has and the times and the distances and the height she has shown so far, she could be a threat to Thiam. Sort of new order developing in the heptathlon. But this is the pentathlon, the first heat of the 60 hurdles. And false start. And another reminder as well that false start in individual events would spell the end, but in multi-events you're given a little bit of leeway. We're just going to have a confirmation of who gave the false start again. It won't be a disqualification, but Tony Minicello watching from the studio, and you see Shuk there going back to lane 8, and she is an exciting prospect.
Yeah, most certainly. There's not a lot known about her, but she's better than Carolina Kluft at the same age. She's broken the world record for pentathlon indoors, so this is our real first viewing of what is a very exciting talent. Going to take, I think, a couple of years to really mature, but hey, she probably will be the challenger to Thiam in the future.
So I saw a false start come up briefly against Maximova's name in the lane alongside Shuk, but again, it doesn't mean disqualification instantly in multi-eventing. But there we go, a false start to start the European Indoor Championships here in Belgrade. And a closer look at Shuk, born in 1999. Goodness me. As Tony said, that to show the promise she is showing at the age of 18 and just turned 18 really does augur very well for the future. And pretty good across all the events as well. It's quite consistent, and that's what you're looking for. She doesn't have huge weaknesses. Sanichkova and Quaresma given the card, but again, not disqualification. Not disqualification instantly. One more though, and it would be a swift end to things. And the official is looking rather perplexed. There is a dissent among the officials at the moment. This is mutiny. Oh, just about ready to go again. So a reminder of the lineup: Bianca Salming of Sweden goes on the inside, then Laura Arte of France, Harald Sky of Belarus in 4, Slanichkova, Slovakia in 5, Quaresma of Portugal in 6, Maximova of Belarus in 7, and then Alina Shuk, the Ukrainian talent, in lane 8. 60 metres hurdles to start the pentathlon. Oh, and that is another false start. This time it was fairly clear for Haradskaya of Belarus. I mean, the tension here, Tony Minicello, is always over the hurdles, and you want to get off to a good start. You want to get off to a clean start, but the nerves around the first event, because it could all come to an end here.
Agreed, and I think with the young lady from Belarus, this is her first big championship, so you're nervous, you want to do well, you're first out in the morning. It does build up and ramp up, but it will be interesting to see what the judges do, because there was a bit of confusion.
So you're all allowed one false start. Shopping list being brought out. No. Fine to go again. Come on now, we can do this. Well, a disqualification for Haradskaya after the false starts for Karesma and Maximova. So we're one down. Well, these are very, very tense moments for these athletes. And clearly to lose your chance at the very first event. And Alina Schuck among those, trying to compose themselves now. Third time of asking, cleanly away. A decent start by Laura Teil of France in lane 3. And Schuck being left a little bit at the moment. Karesma coming through. And Karesma takes the victory. Just ahead of Slanichkova, and the time 8:52, and for Karesma, well, it's a season's best by 100th of a second, just a little bit down on her personal best, but I think Karesma and a few of the others happy to get through that. Disappointing for Schuck, though. She was struggling just a little bit. But again, Colin Jackson alongside me, and looking at some of the hurdling techniques, but also, again, at this stage, there was so much tension down there after those false starts that I'd say a few of these athletes just happy to get through that safely.
Yeah, it's really frustrating, Andrew, when you've been warmed up, you're ready to go, you know, you're really charged, excited, ready to start the whole day, and there's continuous false starts. Let's look at Karesma. She gets close to that first hurdle. She's big, she's strong, she pushes hard off all of them. Not a bad technique. Remember, they don't have enough opportunity really to specialize in any particular event. Heptathlete, pentathlete in this circumstance. And that time of around 8:52 is about 1,050, I think, off the top of my head, looking down on these results. But very strong, isn't she? Working off every single one of these hurdles. But also what's really interesting about this, Andrew, is that when it comes to preparation for this, clobbered that barrier, didn't she? But when it comes to preparation, everybody's at different stages indoors. So we're not sure who's going to be sharper at particular events. They could be just working on them, putting them under a highly stressed circumstance of competition. But it's a solid start by Karesma.
No, there was that tension. Haradskaya got the disqualification after the false start earlier, which was effectively a false start against the field. So after that, she was out with her false start. This was disappointing, a little bit disappointing from Schuck. She has a season's best of 8:85. But again, perhaps still to gain that experience after those false starts, a little bit unsettled. But looking at her technique, Colin.
What I like about this technique is very rhythmical, isn't it? It may not be as very sharp, but it's very rhythmical, and that's really a good place to be. Because remember, she is very young, and she's going to mature. And as she matures, she's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. In comparison to Karesma, who's already an adult, and you can see she's working, she's much stronger as a frame, and could be really explosive out of all these blocks. So Schuck, she may be far off at this moment in time, but give her 18 months or two and we'll see a big difference in her performance, I think.
Well, a victory there for Isabella Karesma. Runs for Portugal with a season's best time, just by 100th of a second ahead of Slanichkova, and Alina Schuck down with 8:99, just sneaking below 9 seconds. That disqualification for Hanna Haradskaya as well, and Nafi Tiam is up in the next heat.
You can see the start list on the scoreboard.
Well, a little bit of an untidy start there, wasn't it? I don't mean the athletes, I mean the officials. Tiam was down the side here watching all of the women ready for the second heat, Tony, and I think they were watching with a little bit of nervous trepidation as well as to what was going on out there.
Yeah, I think so. Every heptathlete wants to get a really good start, and this is a critical thing, because if you lose a few points here, it puts pressure on the next one. So everyone wants a good start. It just sets your mood. So yeah, very nervous from the officials.
I just was watching the officials. I mean, bless her, the lady who's the starter's assistant, she didn't seem to have the right sign. They almost had a little bit of a row with each other. The athletes were watching as well. I mean, it doesn't help, does it? And but Tiam's got the experience to overcome that.
You've got a change in officiating where starting's concerned. So what happens is, you see the headphones the starter's got on. If the blocks that are wired up, if somebody goes early or changes the pressure, he hears a beep. Now the difference is he going to trust his eye and recall it or not recall it, or is he just going to fire his recall gun based on the beep? So there's always that little bit. Do you leave it to technology or do you leave it to the human view?
Well, Tiam just being ushered to the back to get ready there. Let's just remind ourselves a little bit of what a wonderful Olympic Games she had in Rio. Maybe not great memories, Tony, but she was good. You have to hand it to her. I mean, it didn't start with a bit wet and blustery, wasn't it, to begin with? But yeah. I mean, she built through the competition, didn't she?
I mean, 5 personal bests. This was probably the event, the 198 high jump. Phenomenal high jump, which we always knew she was good at, and a great shot putter. Those were really the 2 critical events. And then really what really set it apart was day 2, the way she responded on day 2.
I think what you have to remember is you look at her and you think, oh, she's very tall. She is one of the tallest heptathletes in the field. But you talk about her running, it was a slow start. It was actually a personal best for her. And for me, that is always a sign when someone's coming into form that their running does pick up. Compound that with her fantastic throwing ability, great shot put, one throw in the javelin with a bad elbow. Really, I mean, just look at it. She was in agony, but to do what she did and run another personal best in the 800 was simply fantastic. It's a rare thing to happen in heptathlon, 5 personal best, but it was enough to win.
I mean, she almost beat the beast. If you get 7 PBs, you beat the beast.
Well, she's getting used to seeing her name up in lights. And talking of lights, oh, is that going wrong as well? Wasn't meant to do that, Andrew?
Yeah, well, they come out, they set up the blocks, they have a little bit of a scamper around, just warm up, and then they go back into the wings to be introduced, given the full drama. Now, this is all about Nafi Tiam, really. Caroline Agnew, the Swiss athlete, European junior champion a couple of years ago. Got a strong Swiss team here this year in Belgrade. A lot of very talented youngsters. And Ivona Dadic of Austria. She took bronze at the European Championships in Amsterdam last year. Europeans always a little bit down in terms of quality in an Olympic year or a major championship year shortly after, and so it was in Amsterdam. But Dadic was in there to take bronze medal. Talked about absentees. Nadine Broersen here for the Netherlands. No Anouk Vetter, though. Anouk Vetter has a knee injury. She was the European champion last year. But always strong Dutch pentathletes, heptathletes. Although Daphne Schippers, of course, doing other things now. Nafi Tiam, we talk about youthful talent, and Tiam is still just 22, and what an Olympics it was. So when you go through an event and set 5 personal bests, it was an astonishing performance, and that high jump, as we showed you, really was the pivotal moment. Zinja Krishan of Hungary, European under-23 champion a couple of years ago. Another youngster, Esther Turpin of France, just 20 years old. Again, very much a learning process for her. First appearance at a major senior championships. Verena Preiner of Austria. She has a very, very good shot, which second at the Austrian Indoor Championships in that event.
Representing Hungary is Majerski.
Quite a familiar name in multi-eventing. Georgi Żywoski-Farkas of Hungary, 32 now. 6th at the World Championships a couple of years ago, 8th in Rio.
60 meters hurdles, heat 2 in women's pentathlon.
So again, the 2 heats are done on season's best time. So these are the quicker hurdlers. Some of them a little bit weaker in a couple of the later events, but again, Nafi Tiam is obviously so strong throughout, and has lowered her personal best indoors, Tiam, to 8:37 this year. We're just a little bit behind schedule after the 3 false starts in that first heat. Again, if there is a false start, that person, or those people as it was in the first event, are not instantly disqualified, but then that is against the field, the false start, so the next one to false start will be gone. Tiam goes here in the middle in lane 4. Beginning her challenge in the pentathlon here at the European Indoors. Cleanly away this time. Good start by Brewer, sitting along. Well, I thought it was cleanly away. It looked to be fairly clean, but back they come. The theme continues.
This is interesting, isn't it? Because I was looking very carefully if there was any movement, and I didn't spot anything with my eye. I don't know if it says anything on the screen for you there.
Well, I've got Preiner has been given a false start. You see the reaction time, anything below 1/10 of a second, 0.1 is considered a false start. 0.088 for Verena Preiner. That would have been a flyer in days gone by, days long gone by now. But Preiner, let's have a look at her in lane 7, and to the naked eye, impossible to see. But again, there are reaction pads in the starting blocks. So Preiner stays for now. Again, that is against the field though, so the next false start, and that will be the end of it. Well, green card technical.
Now this has got to be very confusing for the women.
On your marks.
Oh, he's excited. Right, ready to go again. So Nafi Tiam goes in lane 4. Again, her personal best, the new personal best this season indoors, 8:37. She is the quickest in this field on times. Well, cleanly away this time, and Tiam just about first to rise alongside Burson, and Tiam coming away now. Also a strong run from Tupa outside, and Tiam, and then Krijan Turpan, but Tiam takes it 8:26 as well. A new personal best for Nafi Tiam. Well, she's doing it again. That's the way to start your challenge.
Very impressive, wasn't it? Was I expecting that? Perhaps not. But she is proving the reason why she is the Olympic champion, improving all the time.
She's a tall, powerful figure as well. Sometimes might stand against you over 60 meters, but she gets quickly into her stride and has a good pace between the barriers.
She's very comfortable now over the hurdles. You can see that. She's aggressive into them. She uses those long limbs well. They may not have a lot of turnover, but that's not necessary because it can create great rhythm, and that can force leg speed when you're very tall. If you've not got that general ability to generate leg speed yourself, because the hurdles become very close to you, it can force you to generate leg speed. And if you've got good technical ability, as Tiam is demonstrated here, then it's never going to be a problem. Look at that, hard into it, and she's really comfortable and confident, isn't she? She's working off every single one of those barriers well. Good focus, works hard, and she's got a very good, classy personal best out of that performance. Good to see.
Well, top 3, Colin, have come in with personal bests as well, and a lot of this field experiencing this level of competition for the first time, and it really does inspire them. But Nafi Tiam in the centre there. Again, the technique looks pretty solid.
Absolutely. I mean, you say, remember, she's got to concentrate on 7 events outdoors, so to hone every single technique can be a good ass. But here, good, aggressive. She looks really competent now. I'm looking forward to see what she can do outdoors as well, because remember, as you're taller, you can really wind yourself up. So she's on for a good season by the looks of things.
Well, it should be a good season. Hope that that season will develop into perhaps a rivalry with Katharina Johnson-Thompson, who's not here with that hamstring injury. But a closer look at Nafi Thiam beginning her challenge here.
Off the blocks, bang! Really well focused straight into that barrier. Getting herself upright really quick, which is important. She can generate speed even though she may be not needing to drive. And look at that. Good focus, smooth, silky, great performance.
You could see how excited she was with it. She knows that that's not just a sort of clean start. Again, so many things can go wrong in the hurdles for the multi-eventers, but that was not just clean, it was quick as well, and a big personal best.
Yeah, it's really nice to see. You can see how pleased she was with this performance. So she crosses this final barrier, works hard into the tape. She takes a little glance at the clock, and she sees it's a PB, and look at her reaction. Big smile, well done.
Denise.
It was initially given as 8:26, I think. Anyway, it's been rounded down considerably. 8:23 for Nafi Thiam. Big personal best ahead of Créjean and Turpin, both with personal bests as well. But a very, very good start for the strong, clear favourite in the pentathlon.
Well, Thiam was certainly out of the blocks. Well, it's more than you can perhaps say for the championships, because they're about 10 minutes behind schedule already. False starts, Denise. You know, we've talked about athletes have to contend with it. Thiam did it very well.
She did. You know, very unsettling for a lot of the athletes when that happens. You lose momentum. You've got to pick yourself back up again. But fantastic there by Thiam. I mean, for such a tall girl, getting her feet down and in those first 8 strides, fantastic hurdling.
We're going to move on to the 400 metres for women shortly. The sad news overnight is that Lena Nielsen has had to withdraw. The twins, we were so looking forward to them. Lavia, of course, with that great performance in Birmingham. Real shame for Lena. Not quite sure at this point whether or not she can still run in the relay. Well, I guess we'll find out.
We will find out, but you know, first things first, you know, athlete has to protect themselves. She's still a very young athlete. If she's not quite right, although we'd love to see her out there, it's best that she sits out. She's had such a fantastic indoor season so far. She must be bitterly disappointed not to be here, but still Ailey in the mix, and her sister.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talked about Paula, young athletes coming here. I mean, she's a great example of somebody who can. There are 2 or 3 well-known people in this who've, you know, she knows she's up at Heinova, who beat her in Birmingham. But she could come here and win a medal.
Yeah, she could. We're talking about Lavia now. She could definitely come here and take that step forward. And I think the big key to that was the boost to the confidence that she got in Birmingham, because she really went away from there believing that she could come here and she could perform, and with an eye straight on the final instead of I'm just going to go and do what I can do in the heat.
What she did in that race, that first 200, she really attacked. And a quick word on the track here, Tony. This is our first bit of technical chat. The bends aren't very banked here. I mean, is this going to be a factor in this 400 metres first lap?
I'm interested to know, because it's a much squarer track than I'm used to in Sheffield or in Birmingham. So it'd be interesting to know, as you come round the bends, because they're quite tight, you get centrifugal force. Are you going to be able to stay on the track? That banking helps you stick really into it. So it'll be interesting to see how they cope with it, because it is so critical in the 400 to get to the bell first.
Well, there's one of the favourites for a medal, and she's going in the first heat. That's Leah Sprunger from Switzerland. Let's hand you back now to Andrew.
Yeah, Sprunger, the European bronze medalist over the hurdles last year. Iga Baumgart, the Polish athlete, 3rd at the Polish Indoor Championships, a new personal best just outside 52 seconds. Should be a strong Polish quartet for the relay, with Holub and Świecie to come. Putalova of the Slovak Republic, nobody in lane 3. Lena Nielsen out. Sharoyan gets a cursory glance from the camera of Armenia. And Sinead Denny from Dundrum South Dublin Athletics Club goes in lane 1, finished just behind Phil Healy in the Irish Championships. Actually, official injury for Lena Nielsen is a stress response, not a fibula, which is the stage before a stress fracture. But we shall see how that develops in terms of whether she'll be able to run the relay, but not running in the individual here. Actually, this title was won exactly 10 years ago to the day in Birmingham by Nicola Sanders with a time, astonishing time, 50.02. Nobody has got close to it since in European terms. A long jump going on the infield as well. And a bit of encouragement from the crowd for that. So just settling again and going to the blocks once more. So we've got Sinead Denny of Ireland in lane 1, Sharoyan of Romania in 2, Putalova of the Slovak Republic in 4, Iga Baumgart of Poland in 5, and Sprunger of Switzerland in 6. Lanes 5 and 6 given to the quickest athletes. Sinead Denny in lane 1. First of 6 heats in the women's 400 metres, and 2 to go through automatically with 6 fastest losers as well. It's a quick start by Sinead Denny up alongside Sharoyan of Armenia already, but look for the athletes on the outside in Leah Sprunger in lane 6 and Iga Baumgart in lane 5. Baumgart with a little bit of work to do at the moment. They shall break in just a moment, and the official being dragged off the track again. She's been busy this morning. Sprunger, long way clear at the moment, but it is Baumgart chasing her at the moment, and Sinead Denny in 4th place for now, behind Putalova, but Sprunger, tall, elegant runner. Long gap at the moment between her and Iga Baumgart. 2 to go through automatically, and Leah Sprunger can begin to take things just a little bit more easily now as she comes home to take a comfortable victory. Tough behind her between Baumgart and Putalova on the line for the 2nd automatic place, and Sinead Denny taking 4th. But a very impressive win for Leah Sprunger. In total control of that race from the start. And Baumgart not able to get close to her. In fact, Baumgart being chased down right on the line by Iveta Putalova. Very, very close for the 2nd automatic qualifying place, with Sinead Denny in 4th. Again, a reminder, 2 go through automatically and 6 fastest losers over the 6 heats. But Leah Sprunger 52.55. Decent enough for an opener. Very, very controlled performance.
I think it's really important, Andrew, this time of the day, to really have that real control about it. If you're the class of the field, don't risk by being quite laboured in your performance. Sit back, take control early, get yourself out of trouble, and that's exactly what that young lady did. She's in lane 6, works hard, isn't it, out the blocks to make sure she gets that good position, drops down nice and comfortably, and then just keeps control of this whole race. Nobody anywhere near her. She's not playing about here, making sure she gets used to this track, nice and comfortable, and qualifies with ease. It's exactly what you want to do, no mistakes whatsoever, and I'm hoping someone like Ailey does the same thing.
And you're just watching Baumgart there, just drifted out, just left the door open for Putalova on the inside, and Putalova has actually been given the automatic qualifying position just ahead of Baumgart, just drifted. Sometimes that happens again with fatigue and the lactic building.
You're right on there. Fatigue, sometimes you get distracted, you drift yourself out, and you cause yourself a little bit of problem. Now she's just got to wait and see what happens.
Again, 6 fastest losers to go through, so she might be okay, Iga Baumgart, but again, a little bit of a mistake letting Putalova through there, but Leah Sprunger, no such worries. Again, sometimes on the indoor, it's just important to get out and lead the race. Because they break, you can then provide that little bit of a block, but no worries there for Leah Sprunger. 52.55, she's safely through with Putalova.
Some field event action underway. Dan Bramble has taken to the runway in this men's long jump qualification. 790 is the automatic. See his season's best there, 780. So here we go, first chance. Oh, that looked long on the board. It was a decent effort, but it looked as though he encroached on the plasticine there. That, I don't think, will be measured. Oh, look at that, way over the board. They were talking yesterday, I was talking to a few of the athletes. This is a sprung floor, there's a big hollow void beneath it, and it's a spring, and it's tough to measure how much that's going to come back at you. Clearly got a lot back from the service there, Dan Bramble, our only competitor in this long jump competition. Has 2 more attempts to try and make the final tomorrow. Well, Michael Tornéus of Sweden is going to be one of the athletes to beat. Wears the gold bib there, defending European indoor champion. Fast on the approach. That's how to do it. Tornaeus, a great champs competitor. He's proved that in the past. And just one pool, 20 athletes, will be whittled down to 8 for that final tomorrow. So slightly different process to the outdoor version of this event, but Michael Tornaeus of Sweden with space to spare. You can see there behind the board somewhat. Well, 7.96, season's best, and automatic qualification.
Well, athletes are already out for the next heat in the women's 400 metres. We've just seen Leah Sprunger looking pretty impressive, and our first chance to have a look at Heineva, who is the top-ranked athlete really here. Well, in terms of expectation, I think 51.77, her season's best. Big win in Birmingham. Melnick, Horvat, Hoffman, and De Witte up against her here. So it's the top 2, just to remind you. Fastest loser time 53.52 from that first heat. Heineva, like Ailey Child, not over hurdles obviously here. So cleanly away this time. Not the quickest of starts from Heineva, but it's now moving pretty well. Has already run down De Witte on the outside. And inside Hoffman, the German champion, also started pretty quickly. So I'd like to say the crowd really getting going. It's a little bit sparse here in the arena so far this morning, but often is on the first morning. But Heineva just moves across now. De Witte has really got going, but just got a bit of a nudge there. And Melnick not wanting to, Melnick behind the Horvat, not wanting to give up the room for De Witte. So now she's going to have to run wide. Heineva controlling this from the front, just the top 2, of course. And a real good scrap on here for second place. So Hoffman just using her elbows there to try and push De Witte out, but Heineva just pulling away. De Witte might just get the second spot here. Hoffman's going to have to settle for third. 53.27 the winning time. Well, it's kind of a bit blowing the cobwebs out there a little bit. Heineva, I wouldn't say that looked completely smooth from her. It looked a little bit like hard work. Nobody likes heats. Nobody likes heats, and particularly when you just want to get them out of the way and move to the semis and the real racing starts. But she's safely through, and De Witte second place.
Well, the Czech Republic will have the favourite in the men's 400 with Pavel Mazlak, and Mazlak is known for getting out so quickly. Heineva not quite at that ilk, but did enough to get out in front. And 400 indoors is just a little bit of a different beast to outdoors, because you get that jostling, and there was great jostling behind Hoffman trying to hold off De Witte in the corner, and you see it here, and De Witte just about had enough, but because it's not all running lanes, it's just a different creature, and if you can hold your line, you can perhaps just hold off a stronger athlete. But De Witte doing enough to take second place there. But it was a great battle behind Heineva, who I think knew that she'd done just enough to control it and guarantee one of the automatic qualifications.
Well, we'll tidy up the result as soon as we can, but already out on the track. They are trying to catch up a little bit. As we said, they're a few minutes behind. Ailey Doyle ready to go in the next heat. We caught up with her yesterday at the team hotel.
Ailey Doyle, looking forward to seeing you compete here at the European Indoor Championships. I heard in the press conference you referred to this as a stepping stone. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, the whole plan is really for the outdoors and the World Championships in London. And obviously the 400 metre hurdles, but it's always good to be able to compete and just test my flat speed as well. I don't really get the opportunity to do many 400 flats other than part of the relay team. So it's nice for me to kind of get in some early form and sort of see where my speed work is and carry that into the outdoor season for going over the hurdles.
What would you be pleased with here in Belgrade?
I mean, I just want to really kind of compete and perform well. I think I'm maybe ranked third going into it, so definitely want to kind of get into that final and be in amongst it. I mean, I did the European Champs in 2013 and came away with a silver medal, and that was, you know, an amazing time for me, and I think probably was the start of a really good kind of few years for me. So yeah, I'd love to step off the track knowing that I've given everything and I can be satisfied.
Because it's quite a different event to outdoors running indoors, right? Where you break and it's elbows out, and the bell, you know, the bell is the critical time, I guess.
That's it, exactly, yeah, and it's kind of taken me out of my comfort zone a little bit. I think with the hurdles in particular, it's all about the rhythm. You get into your running and you find this rhythm and you just go with it, whereas indoors is very different. You know, you need to get out really quick, you need to be aggressive, you need to be assertive, which I'm not the most sort of aggressive kind of person, so for me it's kind of trying to kind of get that out of me and yeah, get out nice and quick over that first lap and really work hard and just hang on for the second lap, really.
How aggressive can you get?
Hopefully, my coach keeps telling me I need to be more aggressive. He says I'm too nice, so yeah, hopefully I'll be a bit more aggressive and get the elbows out.
So the elbows come out of the bell.
That's it, yeah, make sure I win that break.
So Eilidh Doyle goes here on the outside in the third of 6 heats in the women's 400 metres. Just turned 30 last week, which is quite often seen as the start of the decline. It gets a lot of questions about it. Turned 30 now, what are you thinking? So, well, I'm just going to carry on. Just going to carry on doing what I'm doing. This is the result of Heat 1 where Leah Springer looked pretty strong. The Swiss athlete, long way clear of Iveta Putalova. Just got it on the line ahead of Ega Baumgart. Baumgart now hoping to be one of the 6 fastest losers.
Yeah, that first heat wasn't too bad. I just thought that second heat was well, she's in the pentathlon a bit naff, a bit, you know. 53.65 for Hoffman, Horvat 54.65. I mean, she's run 52 seconds this year, the Slovenian, so disappointing from them, and I guess an anxious wait through the rest of these heats to see. Certainly for Hoffman, a 53.65 will be quick enough.
There's Malgorzata Holub who goes on the lane inside, Eilidh Doyle in lane 5. Again, we talk about a strong Polish entry here in the women's 400. And Holub 52.60 this year. There's Lorena Boquesa in lane 4, 9 times the Spanish champion. Inside her, Agnes Raharulai, the French indoor champion. And Bianca Razor of Romania goes in lane 2. So Eilidh Doyle, like Laura Muir from Kinross High School, and that school producing 2 such high quality athletes. Eilidh Doyle goes in lane 6, UK champion, begins her European challenge. Oh, that's a long hold. Not going entirely according to plan this morning.
No, they need to improve things here in terms of false starts. It's part and parcel, but they are good 10 minutes behind schedule at the minute, and it is a very busy morning.
So a reminder again of the lineup: Razor of Romania in 2, Raharulai of France in 3, Boquesa in 4, Holub in 5, and Eilidh Doyle goes on the outside in lane 6. So away this time, and Eilidh Doyle on the far outside with Malgorzata Holub of Poland in lane 5. Pretty even at the moment between these athletes, and who will get the lead at the break, often so important. Holub at the moment with just a little bit of an advantage over Eilidh Doyle, perhaps, as the bend unravels. Also going well, Raharulai of France, and Doyle then just hits the accelerator a little bit and takes the lead ahead of Holub, and Boquesa coming through of Spain. But Doyle out in front, 2 to go through automatically, 6 fastest losers, and Doyle in pole position at the moment ahead of Holub. A good strong run from Boquesa for the second automatic qualification behind Holub. Eilidh Doyle not able to just break away at the moment, but in control, knows where she is, knows where Holub is, and opens up just a couple of meters, and she will take the victory. She will go through. Holub takes second. Just coming through was Raharulai of France for 3rd place, but 2 qualifiers are Eilidh Doyle and Malgorzata Holub, and looked comfortable enough, Eilidh Doyle, in going through.
Yeah, it's interesting this, because that looked like a really good controlled run from Eilidh Doyle, and then you see the clock stops at 53.28. maybe this track is a little slow, a little bouncy. Colin's got some words to say here.
Yeah, no, I was looking at it, and I think it's very tight, this inside lane here. So a lot of the time they can't generate enough speed, so they're checking back their stride more than they normally do. And I think that's what's causing a bit of problems with our time, because you can imagine when you're fatigued as well, you can imagine the stride length really shortens, more staccato-like. So I think that's why the times could be a little bit slow.
Yes, not every indoor track is the same, not only in terms of surface, but in terms of actually the how tight it is. And as Colin was saying, that inside lane is particularly tight. So the times are down.
She looked good though. I mean, you know, she, like you were saying, Andrea, it's controlled, and that, you know, no, as I said earlier, no one really likes the heats, and you've still got to go out and run hard. But that looks a comfortable run to me, and I'm sure Ailey pretty pleased with that.
A little bit down on those first two heats in terms of times. As you were mentioning, Hainova looked strong enough, and also Leah Sprung a little bit quicker than that in the first heat, but Ailey Doyle through easily enough. 53.28, automatically through with Małgorzata Holub of Poland, and Ailey Doyle now chatting to Phil.
Thank you. Well, Ailey, well done, mission accomplished. Tell me the mindset when you come into a day like today. You've got 2 races hopefully to accomplish to get through to the final. What's the mindset?
Yeah, I mean, it's just about being sensible, putting on a good solid run. I knew the forehand is so different indoors, it's quite tactical, so I knew I had to try and win at the break and just try and control that second lap so I could conserve a bit of energy for later on.
And when you wake up and you have an early morning like this, do you know immediately whether you're in good body and spirit, if you like?
I mean, you kind of know anyway. It's hard because it's been a while since I've actually raced this early in the morning, but I got up early enough, got an early night last night, and yeah, I felt good this morning.
What are the preparations between now and the semi-final later on? What will you do?
Yeah, just get back, recover, get some food, get a bit of a massage, hopefully get some sleep, and yeah, come back later, hopefully rested.
Finally, let me ask you about coming in as 3rd on the European list, and does that have any bearing at all when you come to an event like this? Do you think about it much?
I mean, not really, like I say, especially indoors for 100 minutes, it's so tactical. You know, sometimes times don't matter, it's just about running the right race at the right time. So, I mean, I've gone to Europeans ranked #1, so I've been used to that pressure, so this actually feels a bit nicer coming in ranked #3.
We wish you well for the semis. Well done this morning.
Thanks very much, cheers.
The result of that one, Ailey Doyle through 53.28. Again, not quick. None of the athletes really have been particularly fast. Holub through as the second automatic qualifier. And the semi-finals that she'll prepare for now start at 5:45 this evening, 4:45 UK time.
Well, from one very experienced British athlete hoping for a good run come the final to another one. Lavia Nielsen, what a run from her in Birmingham, 2nd place to Hainova. She went really hard through the first 200 metres on that occasion. She's got a good lane draw here, right on the outside. She's got against her Sinanes of France in lane 5, Salaski of Serbia, there'll be a cheer for her, I'm sure, in lane 4, Bueno of Spain, and Mizanaite from Lithuania on the inside. So just to remind you, only the top 2 qualify automatically. She is the quickest in this heat, but still a little inexperienced. Lavia Nielsen will want to attack hard here, and we've talked about the track. She's going to have to contend with that, but out in lane 6 gives her every opportunity to do so. Sinanes of France has started quickly just inside her, and Nielsen, as she goes around that top bend, will just need to pick it up as she comes through, and right on the inside, Mizanaite trying to get in there, but Nielsen's got every chance of leading this, so Sinanes just coming for the inside, but Nielsen comes across, and that's a good piece of mature running, 25.45, much slower, of course, than we saw in Birmingham. And look at her stretching out down the back straight now, putting some pressure on the others. Bueno of Spain trying to move into 2nd place, but it's Nielsen, the 20-year-old from Great Britain, stretching away from the field. The top 2 will qualify. She's looking good here, looking strong, and a good bit of daylight between her and the rest here. A real good scrap. Salaski coming on the outside for 2nd. Sinanes will get it though. Nielsen 53.77. A good piece of mature running from the youngster there. Got out nice and steady, didn't panic on the first lap. She had a good lane drawn, lane 6, could watch everybody else, moved across nicely, and then put the pressure on down the back straight, got herself out in front, and was able to cruise in really over the last 30 or 40 metres. Well done. 53.74 the winning time.
Yes, impressive as she was able to ease down across the line. It was a fierce battle behind her as well. But it's a shame that Lena Nielsen's not able to run today. But she's always said that her twin sister Lavia has the faster leg speed, and she's just a little bit better over the flat. And she was able to show that certainly from 200 meters on. Just there was easing up. I think there was a little bit of tying up towards the end as well as the others. And Zalaska had to move out so wide to try and come through and take that second automatic qualifying place, and she just about got there, not quite though. But Nielsen again, it was composed from an athlete who's still fairly inexperienced, but 20 years old. That was a composed and looked an experienced piece of 400-meter indoor running.
Yeah, she's got a bit of endurance as well, Lavia. She teaser about 800 meters. She's a 2.8 800-meter runner. I think can run a lot faster than that as well. I always say that about women for female 400-meter runners. Always angling for them to move up. Really good performance though, and as I said, looked really mature. We're both making the same point, and her reward is to get to chat to Phil afterwards. Let's see what she's got to say.
Well, well done, Lavia, because I know there's going to be a lot of nerves on a day like today, but that was a really accomplished, and Steve Cram called it a mature performance.
Yeah, I was really nervous on the start line because it was my first time, and it's always the first run that you want to get out of the way because you just don't know how you feel. And I was warming up this morning. I've never raced so early, and I was like, my legs are not waking up, so I'm glad that I managed to pull it out. And yeah, I just want to get ready for the semi now.
And I suppose the other thing is you know exactly what you're capable of, so the only thing now you could sort of mess that first round up, couldn't you? That's the only thing you could do, because if you run to potential, you're going to get through.
I know, I never thought I'd be in a position where I can control and ease down in the heat of the European Championships, so I'm really happy that I'm in this position, and yeah, just feeling really confident, especially after my run in Birmingham. So
obviously the event today for you tinged with a disappointment because Lena's had to pull out, your twin sister. So how is she, first of all, and how's that affected you?
We were both absolutely gutted. There were tears on Wednesday when she got here. She realised that she may be able to pull out, and we still had hope until last night, and it was last night we decided to pull out because the rest of the year is really important. So she's absolutely gutted, but I'm here flying the flag for both of us, so she's stronger than this and she will come back.
You are flying the flag for both of you. You did it so well there, so we wish you well for the semis later.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, real shame for Lena, her sister, but that was a wonderful performance. 53.74, and of course winning your heat guarantees a good lane come the semi-finals later today.
Well, it's quite a good lineup for the penultimate heat in the women's 400 meters. Interesting names in there in Rosolova and Floria Gay of France. Sarah Slot-Peterson, who goes on the outside and really getting stronger and stronger last year. Well, in Rio, she became Denmark's first ever female Olympic medalist in athletics with her 400 hurdles silver. And just sort of moved past Ailey Doyle in the standings there. Floria Gay didn't run the 400 at the French indoors, tried out her pace over 60. Didn't go particularly well, but an outstanding relay runner. Helped France to the European silver last year. Denisa Rosolova, a former winner of this title back in 2011. Phil Healy, the Irish athlete in 3, one of the best known athletes in this race. She's had 3.3 million views on YouTube of her amazing reeling in of an opponent at the 2016 Irish Universities Championships. Reminder again of the lineup. Yasmin Giguère of Switzerland, the 17-year-old, goes in lane 2. 2 to go through automatically. Tough one for Healy. Very quick Healy though. He's run 7:31 for 60 meters this season, but 400 here up against Rosolova and Gay and Slot-Peterson might be a big ask. A little bit of rocking in lane 5 from Floria Gay as they start in, but Healy has gone out very, very quickly up on Rosolova outside her at the moment, and Sarah Slot-Peterson on the far outside, just beyond Floria Gay in lane 5, and Healy trying to get to the break first of all, just beginning to he's settled into a little bit by Rosolova now, and these four almost together, Peterson and Gay and Rosolova and Healy, all fighting, scrapping for that. Oh, and down goes Rosolova, and Rosolova's out, and that was a heavy, heavy clash. Sarah Slot-Peterson out in front now, but there may be decisions to be made and verdicts to be given after this race. Gay in second place and Phil Healy in third, beginning to tire just a little bit now. So it's these two, Sarah Slot-Petersen and Floria Gay, a long way clear. 2 to go through automatically. Big gap to Healy now. And Healy trying to chase down one of the fastest losers positions. And she is being hunted down by Giguère, and Giguère might come through. But the two out in front, Sarah Slot-Petersen and Floria Gay, the automatic qualifiers, and straight to Denisa Rosolova they go, because that was a clatter as she came down to the track. And it was, you could see it coming, couldn't you? The 4 athletes together at the break.
Yeah, I think Healy was the 3 big names really, and well, my maths always told me 3 to 1 doesn't go, and nobody was going to give up the space there, and somebody really should have just checked back. And what happened was all 3 of them decided, no, I'm going to muscle my way through, but none of them had the pace to do it. Healy was trying to get involved there, but they all come across from her outside. Rosolova, of course, is the one closest to her. And so Healy doesn't like them all coming across. It's not her fault at all. It was the 2 on the outside forcing Rosolova inside, and I'm not sure if she got clipped probably by Healy from behind is why she went down. She hit the ground very, very hard, but she's okay, I can tell you, or seems to be okay. Medics are with her at the moment. So watch Petersen and Guay. They're not going to give up. Guay in particular could have checked back at that point. Petersen, none of them have got the pace at this point to really get to the front. So then they just start cutting across. And of course there's no room. So look at that there from the outside, and Rosolova has to cut across Healy. Gets clipped from behind by the Irish runner. Not her fault at all. So I don't know what they're going to do there. Because she's grazed on her hip there. But, Andrew, I'm just wondering what they can do there, because Healy tripped, she was taken down from behind. She might get, I'm not sure really she can be advanced either for that.
I think she might be winded as well here. I mean, you can see the damage to her hip, the graze on her hip, but she did go down, and showing all the symptoms of being windy. But again, as you were saying, it's Petersen and Gay coming across. Not Healy's fault in any way at all. She actually does check, but Petersen and Gay coming across.
That's a big push. She actually hits the curb is what happens. And she hits it really hard. So what happens there, Guay gives her a nudge, she puts her foot on the curb, and that takes her down. So for me, the French woman should get disqualified.
Well, we shall see. I mean, a disqualification, well, if Rosolova is okay, they could still give her another run in the semi-finals. The semi-finals just before 6 o'clock this evening, Serbian time. But there is the result as it stands at the moment. Floria Gay taking it just ahead of Sarah Slot-Petersen, with Giguère, of course, coming through to take it just ahead of Healy. And Rosolova still down on the track, receiving treatment beside the clock there. And well, it's unsettling for those just about to go in the next heat.
Yeah, as I said, she's being attended to there, and it was a very heavy fall. I think she's okay in terms of anything too serious, but was winded apart from anything else, and that hip hit really hard. She's on the inside there, as you can see, but they have to really move on. And as Andrew was saying, a little bit disconcerting for the other athletes, but the start list for the 6th heat about to go up.
Well, I mean, I see, just before we have a look at that, they put her neck in a brace. Again, sometimes they do that for a precaution as much as anything else, but we hope for the best for Denisa Rosolova.
Well, as I said, I think there may be news on that in terms of disqualifications, but we'll let you know as soon as we find out. So these are the athletes in this 6th heat. Artemata from Cyprus, Bibic from Ukraine, Acho from Switzerland, Gafur from Netherlands, and Sweetie from Poland. Polish indoor champion, really experienced, new personal best this year, indoors 52.09, in a good lane on the outside. Again, a very competitive heat here, and made the world indoor final last year as well as back in 2014 when it was held in Sopot in her home country. Last year, of course, we were in the States, weren't we? Portland, that's right. Next year, don't forget, Birmingham, the World Indoor Championships, around about a year from now. I think you can register for tickets as well. Gafur from Netherlands, former European junior champion back in 2011, 24 years of age now. Sarah Acho, Switzerland, and Rosolova being carried away. We think, as I said, the neck brace, a bit of a precaution there, but sadly for her, that was a very heavy fall. And as I said, we may well see a disqualification, possibly of Guay, but we'll see. Well, I'm sure we'll get news of Rosolova. As soon as we do, we'll give it to you, but hopefully she's okay. So the other two athletes I didn't talk about there, Olga Bibic in lane 3 and Eleni Artemata of Cyprus in the lane 2. Nobody in lane 1. Yeah, it's just coming up actually on the computer. Guay has been disqualified. That's no surprise. And as I said, in some cases then Rosolova might have been advanced, but I'm not sure she's going to be in any state to be able to take a place in a semi-final. But Guay disqualified. I think that's the right decision. So Artemata, Bibic, Acho, Gafur and Swieti. Polish athlete right on the outside. That was a tough heat, that previous one. The seeding, I mean, all athletes look at the heats when they get drawn and go, oh, I've got a rotten heat here. But it did look, because there's always one where you wonder about the seeding. And I think that was it, the previous one. But this one's pretty good as well. Acho was really slow out of the blocks. The tall Swiss athlete there in lane 4 was really slow to get going, but Gafur started very, very quickly. He's got good 60-meter pace. Gafur, the Dutch athlete, has gone very hard. And the question is she going to be able to maintain this? Swieti on the outside has gone off a little slow. Artemata trying to get involved here, but Gafur comes across. Artemata just going to try and hold her off, but she can't quite. Gafur can't get there. And Swieti there, look at the little scrap here. The tall Artemata is holding off Gafur, and Swieti's just going to come by on the outside. She's got momentum here. Gafur's struggling to hang on. Top 2 to go through. Artemata's just looking a little bit heavy-legged here as Acho's coming round. And also right on the outside, Bibic. This is going to be anybody's race here. Swieti trying to hang on here, but it's going to be Bibic who's going to... Oh, and Swieti just gives her a little bit of a nudge to get ahead of Gafur. What is going on out there? Isn't that boxing match tomorrow night? Well, Swieti, she looked as though she was in control of that 50 meters out, comes around the outside, looks as though she just needs to move away. All of a sudden, Bibic comes through everybody. Gafur responds again when it looked as though her race was done. Plenty to analyse there, Andrew.
I mean, that was a fascinating race, because as you said, Gafur went out so quickly. What's her start here in lane 5? She was away, she was almost up alongside Justina Swieti straight away, and she was wading through Trika with 100 to go, but then she got this second wind as Artemata started to fade, and Gafur was given a second chance but couldn't quite get there. But that was a great race, a fascinating race. A great indoor race as well, because you do get these scraps, and we've seen what can happen in the last one. There's just a little clip there of Swieti.
Yeah, she did well, because Gafur just went to look. She got a little clip, look at this. She just hops a little, loses a bit of momentum, and then Bibic gives her a nudge, which actually pushes her forward a little bit, recovers herself. No problems there. I don't think anyone's doing anything wrong, so those two qualify by rights. Gafur just missing out.
But the reason it can get so lively as well is you get 800, 1500 meter runners and beyond. They're used to the jostling. They're used to running in close quarter exchanges. But 400 meter runners ordinarily aren't. They run in lanes and they come indoors and they suddenly have this experience. And a few of them aren't particularly used to it. And it does bring lively races. We saw it there. That was just good, honest racing. And the race before, though, not so. And I think Florio Gay has paid the price.
Well, there's the result of that heat as official. Gafur will go through as the fastest loser. It's that small cue indicating that, and she will go through as the second fastest loser, and that partly because of the disqualification of Guay from the previous heat.
Let's another look at it, Steve. Why we saw disqualification, or we gave you news of the disqualification of Florio Gay, and there's confirmation of it. Phil Healy actually just passed 5 meters to go by Yasmin Giguère of Switzerland, so Healy just missing out as Peterson and Giguère go through automatically. But Denisa Rosolova took a heavy, heavy thump as she fell here at the break. And as you were saying, Steve, Florio Gay paying the price for her elbows, or leaning really on
That's a good old-fashioned shoulder charge, that. And then she stands on the curb. You know, you can't do that. I mean, it's a really heavy fall, and Guay, you're right about the cut and thrust of it, and you're right that 400 metres indoors can be like that. But you know, at some point you have to kind of accept that you haven't got the racing line, and you've got to accede to the other athlete, either from the outside or the inside. And it was a definite shoulder charge for me, and resulted in that disqualification.
We can see that long jump going on in the background there. This is Serhiy Nikiforov of the Ukraine, 23 years of age. Don't know too much about this young man. Opened up with 7.65 and then did this in the second round. Massive PB. A lifetime best for the Ukrainian. He's chuffed with that. That will take him to tomorrow's final. In fact, it was the longest jump in Europe this year at 8.18. So he timed it right. Good on the board, as you can see there. So maybe he puts his name in the hat when it comes to the medals tomorrow in the final. Well, also looking to make that final is Britain's Dan Bramble. No Greg Rutherford. He's still shaking off his dancing legs. Look forward to seeing him outdoors later this year. But Dan Bramble opened with a foul. And this, his second effort. Well, you can see that green line there is the 8th place so far, and I can tell you that's Eusebio Caceres with 7.72. 8 athletes make the final. Bramble has to make that top 8 to be able to compete tomorrow afternoon. He talked about medals, and he's going to have to, probably judging by that being the wrong side of that green line, rely on his third round effort here in qualification should he want to continue and take part in that final. I can tell you, Dan Bramble's second effort, 7.64, 12th place so far.
Well, down there, it's a busy arena. Tony's down there somewhere, and he's got a bit of a privileged position today. There he is. Tony, now, all the years you were a coach, I bet you would have loved to have had the chance to go in the arena in the middle of the competition.
Well, you're not wrong, Steve. I would love to have been in this position as close to, because this is normally where I'd coach from at the track, but I can't help feeling, I do feel out of place. I do feel very, very nervous for being in the wrong place. But no, it's a great privileged position, and thanks to the European Athletics Association for allowing me out here.
Well, we're hoping to get a little bit of a technical, a bit more of a technical view of some of the field events in particular going on. But by the way, if the 60 hurdles get going, get out of the way, because you'll get run over there. We'll be back with you shortly.
Thank you.
Something extraordinary has happened in lane 3 in the men's 60 hurdles. We're ready for the men's 400 metres. First of 5 heats this one, and there the lineup: Fluke of Switzerland, Danach, Slovakia, Bonifacio of the Netherlands, Patrick Schorm, Koch and Husillos. Exciting Spanish talent goes in lane 6. There is Oscar Husillos, 23-year-old new Spanish indoor champion with a record. Says he likes the 200 more, but he says he's just going so well in the 400 he has to keep trying. Rattling through the races now, and Husillos will go very, very quickly, a 200-metre man, but he's got the tall figure of Mark Koch, the 22-year-old German, just inside him at the moment. And again, there'll be a fierce contest at the break. And also going well, Lee Marvin Bonifacia in lane 3 of the Netherlands, and he leads at the moment. And Husillos with a little bit of work to do. 2 go through automatically, and Husillos tucked in behind Koch and Bonifacia at the moment. Also up there, going well, it's Schorm, but Bonifacia leading them out, and the German Mark Koch there, and Husillos with a little bit of work to do. Only 2 going through automatically, and Bonifacia and Mark Koch, the German, in those positions at the moment. How much does Husillos have left? And Schorm is there trying to make his move, and Husillos gritting his teeth and driving past Koch now, who's tying up. Bonifacia takes it, Husillos comes through to take second, and down goes Koch. A little trip on tired legs as well, no more than that. But Lee Marvin Bonifacia did look strong, the Dutch record holder, bronze medalist at the European Championships last year. A little bit of a jig, and he is safely through to the semi-finals. And Husillos gives him a high five. He came through but he had to work pretty hard. Bonifacia again was the man controlling that race from the break.
Yeah, it was interesting for me watching Oscar Hosilos, this new, he's not so new, but he's running very, very well, new Spanish record holder. Left it late, didn't he, having to go around the tall, big, strong figure of Mark Koch of Germany, who's those big legs of his just got filled with lactic, didn't they, right at the end, and he actually fell down the track. Again, he's okay. But yeah, Bonifacia looked good, just controlled it. Hosilos, he's going to have to be a bit more on his game if he's going to get through. 4, 5 out of 10. Actually, no, he's better than me. I'll give him 8 out of 10 for that. Yeah, as I said, there's a little high five here for Hosilos, but he's going to have to be more into the race earlier than in the semi-final if he's to get through to the final than he did there.
But it comes through, second place behind Lee Marvin and Bonifacia. They are the 2 automatic qualifiers. Again, only 2 fastest losers over the 5 heats in the men's 400 metres.
Okay, Tony, we can have a little bit more of a chat now. High jump about to get... Oh, it's already underway, I think, in the pentathlon. I mean, I think any casual viewer of athletics couldn't fail to notice how good the multi-eventers are in the women's event in the high jump. Why is that?
I think it's just the nature of the event, if I'm to be honest about it. I think in order to be good at all 7 events, you're going to be lean, you're going to be quick, and those things really support you in terms of high jump.
And what about the arena here? Sometimes indoors the high jump can be a bit squeezed.
I think it's been difficult for the girls to warm up. If you look at it, they're starting sort of 15 minutes late now in terms of what they're doing. So the warm-up's gone on quite long. There's been some confusion. They've had some problem with the uprights as well, and then people's sticky tape is not actually sticking to the track. So we'll see how that goes. It all causes angst and a little bit of nervousness.
Anything you can do to help out down there?
No, I'm going to stay well clear. Well clear, to be honest.
Okay, Tony, thanks. Well, no British athletes in the men's 400 metres at all, which is a little bit of a shame. 1 or 2 were hoping they would get selected. And of course, that means no men's 4x400 team for Great Britain either on the last afternoon.
No, and the great indoor specialist for the UK over the past few years, Nigel Levine, of course, continuing his long road to recovery with James Ellington after they were involved in that accident in Tenerife. So we wish him well, them well. It's, as I said, a long road ahead. But no British involvement in the men's 400 metres, which is rather curious, but this a lineup for the second heat.
Yeah, and it contains Pavel Majlak, the favourite. He's such a good indoor runner. He's, of course, the defending champion. And whether it's the Europeans or the Worlds, he is a redoubtable competitor. Got good 200-metre pace. Recently ran a new Czech indoor record of 20.52, just to underline that. Brian Gregan going for Ireland, Rucic of Croatia, Van Diepen of Netherlands, Kashagan of Norway, and Lorenzi of Italy. Well, there was trademark. I'm running out of the term. What are they on?
Sleeves.
Sleeves, of course they are. Without tops. Because it's cold indoors. Anyway, Majlak will be the man they're all chasing. Brian Gregan inside. Decent Irish contingent here, actually. They're a reasonable sized team. There's quite a few of them on show this morning. We've seen 1 or 2 already. Healy didn't get through in the women's 400 metres, sadly, but Gregan will be trying to do better. 46.59 is season's best. Rucic of Croatia inside him, Van Diepen of Netherlands, and then, as I said, Kashagan of Norway and Lorenzi of Italy. So it's the top 2, and the first heat, only 1 athlete under 47 seconds, and many of these athletes come to these champs with times under 47. You just get the feeling that 1 or 2 of the British athletes could have done some damage here in this men's 400. Cleanly away. No, it's not. I knew as soon as I said that See anything, Andrew?
I thought it was a very good start by Ruzic, but maybe it was beyond good.
I can tell you that Khashoggi, it may well be the man who transgressed. I'm just looking up, there's a massive big screen there. You see that's what's on the massive big screen in the arena here. 0.081, anything under 0.1. Deemed an illegal start, but he could get a conduct warning. But just waiting for the athletes to walk back, and then the official will walk out, and depending on the colour of the card, it is going to be a disqualification, because I've seen the colour of the card that the starter's marksman has, and he's just being told, in fact, Khashoggi, and is having a little bit of a discussion. Let's see here. Top of your picture, lane 2, that's clear. I do not know what he's arguing about. Sorry, mate. Moritz Khashoggi.
It's a sad face.
Well, he has to resign himself to the fact that he can't really argue, and they've shown him the printout as well, and if he had a chance to look at the replay, I mean, he knows, you know, when you've made a false start of that, as clearly as that. So Majlak just taking a few moments to relax while they sort this out. I have to say that, I mean, disqualifications, fine, that happens, but they've not been super quick at kind of moving on from that, making the decision, telling the athlete, moving on.
They've changed the length as well of the hold on the start as well. It's very, very quick now for the gun to go, because there were long holds earlier. Khashoggi still, well, nothing he can do.
It's a long way to come from Norway, isn't it, to Belgrade, and then first morning, he's been nervous, he's been looking forward to this for weeks, ran in the championships, family might have travelled out. Not a good morning. So Majlak on the outside, Gregan, Ruzic, Van Diepen and Lorenzi right on the inside now with that gap outside him, so he's in lane 1. So Majlak expect to control this. Long rangy action of his, those arms plain to see. Ruzic has started quickly as well, and inside him Van Diepen trying to get involved here, but Majlak should be able to come across and control this. Gregan trying to hold him off, but he does check back, which is the smart thing to do. The big Irishman now finds himself in second place. The Italian Lorenzi trying to make up some ground, top 2 to go through. It's Majlak at the front, looking very comfortable. Gregan there, and he's going to come under some pressure from Ruzic and Lorenzi. Majlak has a little look around, sees there's still trouble there, has to just extend a little bit, and Gregan might make it through here. Majlak's going to win it, has to run right to the line. Gregan gets second spot, takes a tumble as well. Well done to Brian Gregan, making it through. So no doubt about our winner, he just did everything that he needed to do and nothing more. Semi-finals are tonight at after the women's, indeed. So Majlak safely through 47.57. I mean, the times aren't spectacular, and for him that's not an issue. He's winning comfortably there, but the others are still having to fight really hard to run sort of 47.5 seconds.
Yeah, what a contrast there was between Majlak and the rest. That was, well, he's conserved as much energy as he dared there, just held on, but that was an easy, controlled race. I mean, Ruzic and Gregan were involved in a titanic struggle behind. Ruzic, a hugely powerful figure, just trying to keep, almost pumping himself forward by his arms as much as anything else towards the end, but Gregan holding on. Majlak, though, looks very, very strong. He's going to be a hard man to be. The contrast, the effort on the face of Gregan there to hold off Ruzic, which he did to go through as an automatic qualifier, but look at the ease on Majlak's face and the ease with which he crossed that line. There's the contrast, and there is the favourite for the title.
So confirmed second place for Gregan in 47.62. They're pretty slow times for others as well, and with more heats to come, 47.66. Well, it might be good enough to go through. Actually, no, there's only 2 fastest losers to go through, so that's not looking particularly good for Ruzic.
Bramble, last chance to qualify, 7.64 so far. Well, it's good. Will it be the white flag, though? I think he knows he's gone over the board. Wow. That's really disappointing for Dan Bramble. He was very optimistic about his chances here. He knows he's made a mess of that. Foul in the first round. A big foul you can see there in this, the third round, and that is it. He's out. 7.64, you can see that 12 against his name there. That's his position so far. Only 8 will qualify. So Britain's only hope in that long jump competition, and there he is, lying flat. I know Tony's down there nearer than me. Tony, reaction to that?
He just lengthened on the end of the runway, just a real big stride, left the foot out and went straight into the plasticine. It's awkward here. There's a 3-meter board, so what you tend to find normally are 2-meter boards. That is, the board is 2 meters away from the pit, so it plays the game a little bit. It's spatial awareness and seeing. So he's just lengthened, I think, on that last one, and it's a great shame really, because he was capable of the qualifying jump.
Is that something you would have expected an athlete to fix mid-jumping, mid-competition?
Yeah, I'm not sure where his coaching is and who's supporting him with his coaching, but that would be the point you're putting across, is to make that last step a little bit shorter. I'm just getting in the way of heptathletes doing strides now, sorry. But yeah, you would have thought that would have been the thing that you'd have been putting across from the coaching position, just tighten up that last step.
Yeah, we just saw exactly what you've explained in slow motion there, a big stride into the last step before takeoff, and exactly that. But comp over for Dan Bramble, and he won't be taking part in tomorrow's final, and he's out.
We'll move on to the third of 5 heats in the men's 400 metres. No outstanding favourites in this heat. Could be a good race. Well, Melko and Lucas Bua on the outside have got the quickest times this season. So again, we've seen some very good racing so far, some very interesting races, and Maslak certainly looked so controlled in the last heat, able to dictate the race from the front while it was chaotic behind. And there's Luca Bua. Well, Spain should have a good relay team here. 3 of the 5 fastest times this year in Europe. Hosios we saw going through. They've also got Samuel Garcia, but he goes outside on Melko there of Poland. You can see, in Johan Desimu of France. Jan Tezar of the Czech Republic is in 3, Vitaly Butrim of Ukraine in 2, and Malkočević of Bosnia and Herzegovina in lane 1. Again, 2 to go through automatically, and only 2 fastest losers, so it will be a frantic scuffle for the 2 automatic places, and again fairly even between these men on time so far this season. Good strong start by Rafał Omelko of Poland out in lane 5, but also doing very well Jan Tezar of the Czech Republic, and he leads them out at the moment. Lucas Bua turns on a bit of power and just a look to his left to Tezar, and he takes the lead. Bua leading them out ahead of Tezar and Rafał Omelko now in 3rd. 2 to go through automatically, and a bit of a gap from Lucas Bua, who's running well, running strongly, looking composed and easy at the moment, but then Omelko beginning to ease his way past Tezar. Tezar trying to dig in. Strong finish perhaps from Desimu of France as well. Bua out in front. Omelko, they're going to come through and take the 2 automatic places. A bit clearer in the end than we thought it might be. Johan Desimu coming through just to take 3rd, and hope that he's got a quick enough time, but that was good from Lucas Bua, 23-year-old, who doesn't look to be breathing too hard. All relative, of course, but again, that was a strong race from Bua. Didn't do quite what Hosios did, his compatriot earlier on, who had to work a bit harder and come from behind. Bua was in charge from an early stage, from the break, really.
Yeah, much more impressive. This is working out really interesting, because the women have got 3 semi-finals, the men have only got 2. So all of the heat winners can't get to the outside lanes. So, but Bua there winning with a quicker time here. I thought the front 2 were pretty impressive. Melko got himself in a little bit of a mess in the first 200, went off a little bit too slow. He's very experienced, the tall Polish athlete. He didn't panic, and he just followed Bua through. But yes, the Spaniard's looking pretty good. But Bua in particular, that's a good performance from him, and that will set him up well for the semis. But his teammate, you mentioned, Hosios, he might get a really difficult lane.
So they are the automatic qualifiers, Lucas Bua and Rafał Omelko. I say it's a good Spanish contingent in the men's 400 metres, and one of them goes in this one as well.
Yeah, you mentioned Garcia, didn't you, and that top 10 list, and there are 2 British athletes on that top 10 list. I'll come back to that in a second, actually. Altintas of Turkey will be inside Garcia, Agard of Netherlands, Schlegel of Germany, and hosl from Ukraine. Again, a fairly evenly matched. You can see all their season's best there. Garcia pretty quick. I think Seb Roger was hoping he might get a selection, obviously the 400-metre hurdler. George Caddick ran very fast in the States, I think it was last week or about 10 days ago. I'm not sure he would have been up for selection anyway with 46.52. But no British athletes in this, as I said, so the way left clear.
And again, what is the selection criteria in terms of those who don't really watch athletics might be looking at this, but why they would say that, okay, there might be athletes who might even get a medal, might make a final, but we're not going to select them. Perhaps we'll chat about that in a moment. But the long jump continues.
Well, here's a look back at another of the qualifiers, Lazar Anic of Serbia. Home advantage, of course, being the local athlete. Does look a little bit like Novak Djokovic, don't you think? Maybe a distant relative, who knows? So the Serbian, very much buoyed by the relatively small crowd here. Drifted right to the edge of the runway there, but well, pleased with that, as he should be. It's 7.98, equals his outdoor best. It's equal personal best, you could say, but more importantly, takes him tomorrow's final. So a bit of local interest. Always interesting, the home advantage, what that means, what that does to an athlete's blood. He's making the most of that. Lazar Anic qualifying. Nick Farov, a European lead. We saw 8.18, the Ukrainian, but no Dan Bramble.
No sad news for Dan Bramble, just on one legal jump. Oh, it was a tough night last night. Crowd beginning to build actually in the arena now. We're expecting big crowds for the finals, some finals tonight, tomorrow as well, full 2 sessions, and then finals all the way pretty much on Sunday. So Garcia on the outside, and as I said, 2-3 interesting athletes here. Altintas, of 20-year-old from Turkey, he's in lane 5, and a new find for them really. And we've got Agard of Netherlands, and then the 19-year-old from Germany, Marvin Schlegel, in lane 3, tall figure. So a couple of promising youngsters here up against Garcia on the outside. Garcia started pretty quickly. Altintas from Turkey trying to go with him, and Schlegel of Germany. Oh, and a muscle pull there from the Dutch athlete Agard, so he's gone. Top 2 to go through, don't forget. On the inside, hosl of Ukraine trying to get involved, but it's all about Garcia controlling this at the minute. Altintas moves across ahead of the German Schlegel. Garcia just running it as he wants here at the moment. Altintas trying to get on terms. hosl coming around the outside. Schlegel looks like he's having to work really hard at the moment. Garcia just keeping them at bay, holding them back. Just will want to come off this bend hard here just to make sure. Then he can ease back a little bit. Has a little look around. He's got this one in the bag. And it looks like Altintas a clear second here. So jog across the line for the Spaniard. They do look good. And so far, you'd have to say, I mean, never write the Czech team off with Majlak, etc. However, that's turning out to be, well, certainly 3 very good Spaniards into the semi-final. That's as far as he got at the last European Indoor Championships, Garcia. But he looked pretty good there. Probably had one of the easier heats, but certainly dominated it.
Yeah, different build to the other 2 Spanish athletes. A bigger, taller, more powerful figure. But again, that race became just a little bit clearer with the what looked like a hamstring pull of Terence Agard of the Netherlands, and suddenly it was only 4 for 2 places. See Agard in lane 4 is running pretty strongly, but by this stage he's gone. But Garcia able to control things at the front, and Altintas, he benefited the Turkish athletes from the injury to Agard. And the youngster Marvin Schlegel, the German athlete, with a 19-year-old, looked strong in the early stages, but just tied up a little bit, and again controlled by Samuel Garcia. And that, well, 3 Spaniards moved through pretty well. 2 of them as heat winners go through to the semi-finals just after 6 tonight at Serbian time. But this is the injury to Agard.
Yeah, just a straight. That might have been a quad actually, but tidy up the result. Garcia, Altintas going through. Schlegel, I can tell you already, that's not going to be quick enough to go through as the fastest loser at the moment. 47.25 from Decimos, and Mark Koch, Schlegel's teammate, is still hanging on with 47.39 as the fastest loser.
Well, just getting ready for the women's shot put qualification. Some British interest in Rachel Wallader. In fact, we come to her for her first attempt. In good form this year, looking for something over 17 meters would be a good start. Well, it is, I believe, closer to that 18-meter line. Smile from Rachel. She needs 17.70 to be an automatic qualifier. But in these early stages, we won't know that exact distance. Same rules apply. Top 8 go through to tonight's final. 5:35 local time. Rachel Wallader, well, it goes into first place. It's early stages. 17.20. Continuing her consistent behaviour, consistent performance, I should say, in getting beyond 17 meters once again. She has done that twice already this year, and PB so far. Great stuff from Rachel.
Meanwhile, just about ready over on this side, just down in front of us on the start line, ready for the fifth of the heats, the final heat of the men's 400 meters. That's Luka Janesic of Slovenia, a tall figure. That sort of height that often goes against you indoors, but he will be a contender here. Just outside him, we've got Mario Lambrughi of Italy. But inside, we have Benjamin Lobo-Vedel of Denmark, European junior champion. Thomas Jordir of France, French indoor champion. And Milos Raovic, the Serbian. Just 22, but Raovic gets the dizzy excitement of the crowd. Raovic goes on the inside. Thomas Jordir of France, mentioned European under-23 champion a couple of years ago in 3. Vedel in 4. Janesic in 5. Lambrughi of Italy in lane 6. So 2 to go through automatically, and just 2 fastest losers. Mark Koch, the German, 47.39, is in the last lucky loser position at the moment. Oh man, that looked like lane 5. Luka Janesic in the bright green, easy to spot, and it looked pretty clear. Steve immediately had a look at Janesic there.
Yeah, he just twitched, but it was a very clear twitch, as it were. And oh, he's had a tough morning, hasn't he, the starter?
No, he's 25.
I know. Well, he was when he started this morning. He's aged a bit. Actually, lane 3 looks on that, but it was lane 5. He definitely moved first, and it's just going to be interesting because on the reaction time, because he didn't leave the block, but you have to stay still in the block. And if you'll see on this, Andrew, that none of them have a false start, but he definitely moved. Janesic just made a little bit of a twitch, so I'm going to be interested to see what he gets here. They're discussing it in front of us.
Well, we've had a few of these this morning. Look at lane 5 there. Just, I mean, that's a clear twitch. Again, he's not released the pressure in the pads to give him the illegal reaction time, but here she comes.
He may just get a conduct warning here. I think she's got yellow hidden behind there. She's keeping us in suspense. It's yellow.
And turn with a flourish. You're fine, Luka. So oh, a little smile. You're fine. That's nice. Look at it. Just shrugs it off, shakes it out, ready to go again.
Just to remind you, 2 of those, and it's a false start. If he gets another conduct warning, he gets disqualified anyway.
So Raovic of Serbia on the inside. Thomas Jordir of France in 3. Vedel of Denmark in 4. Luka Janesic still there in 5, and Mario Lambrughi of Italy in lane 6. 2 go through automatically. 2 fastest losers only. 47.39 is the time you're looking for a fastest loser place. Cleanly away this time. A very good start by Jordir of France in lane 3 at the moment, and remember they will break towards the end of this first lap. And who will take control at that stage? Pretty even at the moment, although a good start as well by Luka Janesic in lane 5 up alongside Lambrughi, who's a good runner, the Italian, but he's been left just a little bit at the moment. So again, he then tucks in behind Janesic, and Vedel is there. Janesic and Vedel battling for that first place. Vedel just holds his line and holds off Janesic, who's just checks for a moment and loses a couple of meters of ground. Vedel looking very impressive at the moment. 2 go through automatically, and Vedel in control. The Danish athlete, the European junior champion, running a very, very strong race. Janesic beginning to labour just a little bit, and it's close behind him. Who can get the second automatic place? Janesic, though, finds enough pace to get there, but a very, very impressive run from Benjamin Lobo Vedel, the European junior champion, the 19-year-old. He looks like a 19-year-old. He's leggy, hasn't yet filled out, but my goodness, he's got some pace. And that was a very, very strong run.
It's a bit like Hicham El Garouge. Very good, PB, personal best, big personal best. He's already run a personal best this year. He's getting close to his outdoor best now. Really controlled, well out of the blocks. Not the quickest, but look, he's got a nice action. Tall guy, but not as tall as Janesic behind, who actually held on well. He's not a particularly tidy runner, Janesic, but look at the... I mean, it looks better there, really. The arms have gone a little bit dead, and the legs were obviously tired, but there's got to be a little bit more in the tank there. And Vedel, pretty impressive. So Denmark all of a sudden have got somebody who may well contend.
I think that Mario Lambrughi, his time will be quick enough to see him through as a fastest loser as well, with only 2 going through automatically, and indeed Thomas Jordir of that heat as well. I think the 2 fastest losers are going to come from that heat. Indeed, there's confirmation of it. So Vedel automatically through along with Janesic, but Lambrughi and Jordir doing enough to go through.
Well, we're moving on swiftly, trying to catch up time into the women's 800 metres. The first heat, Shalena Oskan-Clark going. Let's listen to her words, her comments from yesterday.
I think this year I've really stepped up my training. I train at quite a high level, but then I'd say that I train quite hard. I've trained quite hard throughout all the other years, but for some reason I never seem to get out until I need to, or when it's like the bigger sort of competitions, I seem to run better, hopefully. For some reason it's like I need a little bit of pressure, or I like the pressure to dig deep.
What would be a huge success this weekend then? What could you do?
I think I'm trying not to. I've just got to do whatever it is I need to do when I'm out there on the track. So I need to just make sure I'm in the right position. So whatever someone's bringing to me, I just need to react to that. I'm fit enough and strong enough to be able to go out there and fight for my place in the final and compete for a medal.
What tactics would suit you?
Fast, a nice sort of rhythm. I'm not good with the slow. Well, I've got speed, so if it's slow and I'm at the front, it's fine. The first races that I did, I don't like being at the back, but a fast rhythm's quite good. Get me into my flow.
In terms of the whole year, 2017, obviously it's an amazingly important year because of the World Championships being in London. Where does this fit in terms of your yearly plan?
It was always our plan to come and compete here and be competitive. It's not something that I've not tapered so much for. I don't want to. The bigger plan is to do well and qualify for the World Championship. So I couldn't really focus too much and lose. I've really focused on my endurance. So I needed to get all that work in. So I haven't focused too heavily like with my trainers. But yeah, I've always wanted to come here, and it'll be a good confidence boost. So if I can get a medal and be competitive going forward.
How much do you want to medal?
I really want to medal. It'll be really good for me to, I don't know, just to up my game for my confidence, because I know that I train hard, and I probably train better than some of the girls. And yeah, it's time for me to actually get the medal to go with it.
Well, I think she's got a good chance if Shalena can do, as she said, what she's done in the past, raise a game at the Championships. She's taken a little while to get her season going. First 3 or 4 races, by her own admission, 2-3, and she was struggling to get out of that rhythm, and then all of a sudden in Birmingham dropped to 2-1, much more what was required, and she certainly will come into these championships full of hope. But there are plenty of women who'll be thinking the same thing, including Liakova of Ukraine. Velvere of Latvia's on the outside. Liakova's in lane 5. Halova of Czech Republic in lane 4. Blanka Kerry is in lane 3, and then Shalena is in lane 2. So as I said, I mean, I saw her training down in Potchefstroom in South Africa with the rest of the middle distance group, and she did look very good there. And I think she was a bit surprised as to why that didn't come through in training, in racing immediately in this indoor season. But as I said, that 2-1 clocking you see there set her up nicely for these championships. So Liakova, though, will be the big threat here. Liakova in lane 5, the Ukrainian. Top 2 to go through, so it's not that easy, but she should be okay here. Paula, Velvere moving round, and Shalena just wanted to control this, which isn't a bad thing. She talked about wanting a good rhythm.
Yeah, she did. She talked about, even if it was slow, she wanted to make sure that she was at the front, out of trouble, and able to respond as the dangers come round her. The danger is probably sitting right on her shoulder now with Liakova there. But I think, as we talked about earlier, that 2:01 in Birmingham did really put her confidence where it should have been from the training. And I think that was the thing. Frustration was starting to come in because Shalena wasn't seeing that training translate into racing, and hopefully she's going to move on with that here.
Well, a nice steady pace, just under 30 seconds the first 200 metres. Looks as though it's just settled down a little bit slower than that as they approach 400. It's going to be probably around 61, maybe even slower than that. It is a bit slower than that, 62 in bits. And she's in where she wants to be, though. You can control it there. Liakova right on her shoulder. The others have all got a chance here. And really what she now needs to do, Paula, is just start to stretch them a little bit, not get surprised by anybody.
Exactly, she needs to be ready because the danger is going to come, and it's going to come very fast, and she needs to be able to respond to that. Sometimes when you go out and the pace slows, you can almost settle into that rhythm and then find it very hard to raise the pace and react as the girls will start to come past her. They've taken their time now, and she's left a gap on the inside.
Yeah, 1 or 2 of these are 400 or 400 hurdle specialists as well. She just needs to be a bit careful here, but she's just stretching out at the front. Top 2 to go through. Liakova just can't get past Velvere, and then the attack comes on the outside. Now Shalena has to respond to that, hold that inside, and she does it well. She does it very well. Shalena Oskan-Clark in the lead. Velvere still trying to get round on the outside. Liakova is not in the top 2 here. She will leave it late. She trusts her kick here, but Shalena Oskan-Clark has got to keep working right to the line. Liakova might well get run out of this here. One of the big favourites will not go through by rights to 6. Velvere, the Latvian, a bit of a surprise package there. And she goes through with a very, very confident performance from Shalena Oskan-Clark. Perfectly run tactically, controlled the race at the front, controlled the pace. When the pressure came, she responded, had that little bit of acceleration to be able to hold off Velvere, which was important. But what about Liakova? Never really got moving there for a woman who's run 2 minutes this year. That was poor.
It was, and I think all through that race we kept thinking the danger is going to come from Liakova. She's leaving it late, she's leaving it very late. I just think she didn't have it there at all. And Shalena Oskan-Clark, when she crossed the line, you could see the relief and the satisfaction that she'd run the race well, that she's executed her race well. But she's also a little bit confused herself because she's thinking, well, why didn't Liakova come past me sooner? And was almost expecting the danger to come there on the outside. But Liakova just did not have the change of pace necessary to be able to get back on terms. And it wasn't quick, 2.6.
No, but you know, this is what sometimes these early rounds are about, having the ability to, you know, react to what's going on, and she controlled it. Not a worry for her that Liakova didn't run well. Look at that, she was just so confident, wasn't she, the Ukrainian, that she would finish quickly, but couldn't do it. And Velvere, the one who goes through with Shalena.
Well, Shalena, well done. I know you talked to Steve Backley yesterday about how you don't like slow races, so you went to the front, you controlled it from the front.
I thought it's better that way for my rhythm, and I just thought if I can control it from the front, I'm strong. I thought someone would be pushing me a bit quicker, but I just kind of went to my own rhythm, and then when someone attacked, I thought I was just kind of reacting. But I felt better doing it that way.
You got a bit of a shove in the back at one point. How much did that put you off?
Oh, that's fine. That's just normal in 800.
And then after that, it was the point where Valverde came on your outside and you kicked in again.
Yeah, I had to go. I had to kind of just hold the pace when I knew she was going to go there. So I need to just hold my pace and react and go for the line.
Well, you've talked to us time and again this year about how much hard work you've put in, and this is your time now. You're ready to deliver a medal hopefully this weekend. This is just the start.
I hope so. It's always nerve-wracking doing the first round, but now that's done. Now I'm sort of on a roll. I hope to get a medal. I want to leave the track knowing that I've done my best, and I think if I do my best, that will be.
Well, we wish you well for the semis tomorrow, and well done today.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
So yeah, qualification comfortable in the end for Shelena Oskan-Clark. The times aren't important really, but for Liakova, there are 3 fastest loser spots, but with the other races to come here, they just need to look at that, run 2.3, 2.4, and Liakova's out.
Well, certainly a few women in the next heat who are capable of that. See, Anita Hinriksdottir goes in this one. Lenka Mazna as well, so experienced. Lovisa Lind of Sweden. Kachuk of Ukraine. Going very well this season. They go on the outside. There is Anita Hinriksdottir. It seems that she's been around for such a long time, still just 21. 6th at the World Indoors last year. Likes to get out in front as well. That rather ungainly style, but great talent, Hinriksdottir. Mazna on the inside. There is Anastasia Kachuk of Ukraine. So Mazna, Hinriksdottir, Stukova of Slovak Republic, Lind of Sweden and Kachuk of Ukraine. Second of 4 heats in the women's 400 metres, 2 go through automatically and 3 fastest losers, and Hinriksdottir is herring out of the blocks and round the bend and into the position that she feels most comfortable in. Just having a little look up there and aware of her surroundings, aware of where she is, but then suddenly Mazna comes flying past her, and Kachuk as well, and Hinriksdottir behind Lind as well, looking a bit less comfortable. Only 2 go through automatically.
Yeah, Hinriksdottir definitely mixing up her tactics here. Her usual tactic is to go straight to the front and stretch out and then try and hang on from there. Sometimes she gets it wrong and goes out way too fast, but it's rare to see her sitting in the pack like this, and you can see she's not comfortable. Down the back straight, after they started, she was looking up at the screen, so it obviously is a plan to sit in. It's not that she just wasn't able to get to the front. But Lenka Mazna, it is very experienced in indoor championships as well, controlling this race from the front at the moment.
And one of those who had upgradings and replacings at major events following the disqualification of Russia's Maria Savinova, Lenka Mazna, and she's out in front at the moment. Kachuk just behind, and Hinriksdottir, well, looking comfortable enough in 3rd place alongside Lind, but just remember that only 2 go through automatically. Mazna and Kachuk and Lind and Hinriksdottir, and just behind Stukova. So all 5 in this race, still with a chance of earning one of the 2 automatic qualifying places, and Hinriksdottir looking to make her move now. This is where she has planned for it, and clearly her plan, her idea, hit the bell in front, and Hinriksdottir, just that injection of pace, and she's taken 5-6 metres out of the bulk of the field now. Great bit of running from Hinriksdottir, and she and Lovisa Lind are well clear now. 2 to go through automatically, and Lind, she's digging in, but she knows that there's not too many people around her. She had a little look to her right, and Hinriksdottir very, very comfortable indeed. Again, she looks to the big screen, and Anita Hinriksdottir well out in front. A very well run race by the Icelandic athlete, and she'll come home for a big victory ahead of Lind. And in 3rd place, I think it was Stukova coming through, but Hinriksdottir, talked about her as a front runner in so many races. Earlier in her career, perhaps, she is starting to, as Paula said, mix up tactics a little bit, and that was a very well judged, well planned, well thought out race.
She did. She really looked in control there, and very, very mature in the way that she was racing it. Physically, she looks a lot stronger this year than she has done in the past. I think she looks a lot more in balance, a little bit less like Bambi out there running. She's kind of got a lot more control and a lot more power there, and she showed that with the way that she surged to the front there and just basically controlled the race from there. She was very easy. She still had another couple of gears left there at the end, and she was looking up at the screen, looking around the stadium all the time to assess, whereas Lind was chasing hard. She knew that she was clear in the second qualifying position, but she's still working a lot harder than Henriksdottir is at that point.
Henriksdottir is going to be a strong contender, and that's a quick time off a slow first half of the race. Not slow, but it wasn't that brisk. So for Henriksdottir to have that injection of pace to come through 2:02, the first heat was 2:06, then that's pretty impressive from Henriksdottir. She and Lovisa Lind go through automatically. Stukova producing a personal best, and she will hope that she is one of the 3 fastest qualifiers.
Well, you can see the shot put cage there. This is Lianchuk of Belarus, 33-year-old, served a drug ban in 2008, 2 years suspension, but comes in here with a season's best of over 18 meters, so is a contender for the European Indoor Championship title. A decent throw there, putt in the first round beyond 18 meters. Well, European Indoor silver medalist 2 years ago. Bit of a statement, that. In the first round, over 18 meters. In fact, just under 1781 auto qualifying. Well, we saw Anita Martin throwing in Birmingham recently, and very impressively indeed. The Hungarian defending champion 2 years ago. Bronze in Rio. Bang on that 18-meter line. In fact, it was measured at 17 meters 66, just behind that putt of Lianchuk. And Rachel Wallader, we saw her first round throw just a few moments ago, is in 6th place. So with 8 to qualifying, it's going to be touch and go whether the Brit can make it through to tonight's final. But Martin looks as though she's booked a place. Well, here is Rachel Wallader. She got that throw in the first round, 17:20. So she can kind of settle into this and really step it up a gear and attack this second effort. Settles at the back of the circle, 7 foot wide, drives out hard, or just came out of that slightly, I feel. You could see she just collapsed. Her left side went away, popped it out right. That's below her first attempt. Let's have a look at this again. Yeah, just got ahead of that for me. Subtleties in shot put, difficult to see in full speed, but 16.99, still in 6th place.
So we move on to the 3rd heat in the women's 800 meters. Only 4 athletes. We weren't far away from not having a first round in this. 4 heats, 19 athletes in total. Top 2 and 3 fastest losers. So they could all go through and still have room for another one if they go fast enough. That previous heat was pretty quick, as we saw. So in this one, we've got Hedda Heine from Norway, Clarissa Moe of France, Stina Troest of Denmark, who's in the lead there, and Sylvander of Sweden. So 3 Scandinavian athletes against the French athlete here. Pretty quick first 200 meters, 29.42. Just wonder whether she wants to make or give all 4 of them a chance here by running 2.3.24.
Absolutely. I mean, what these girls should have done is watch how the heats beforehand have gone, have an eye on the fastest loser, know that at this stage the 3rd fastest loser is Lenka Masner, sitting at 2.5.64. So if they run quicker than that and they can work together and do that, and by going through the first 229 high, they're giving themselves the best chance of being able to do that. They just need to take turns really and rotate at the front. And 4 girls here with PBs very much around the same mark, so they're well capable of working together.
Yeah, and Trost has done all the work so far, just under 61 seconds through the first 400 meters. Heine looks good. Rowe just been happy on the inside. Sylvander's moved around a little bit at the moment, just checked back in again. But we didn't give you the news, incidentally. Liakova is definitely out, as Paula was saying, where the fastest loser spots sit at the moment, so the Ukrainian's out. But what about these here as they approach the bell? Can Trost keep this going? They get to the bell, it's slowed a little, but if they pick it up here, they can still all four qualify, but they will have to just pick it up and get moving a bit. Trost now trying to stretch out from the front. The Norwegian Heine on her shoulder. Mo still staying on the inside. Sylvander, all four of them have pretty much stayed in this position since the beginning. Might as well have not bothered running 800 meters. It was like this after 100 meters, and Trost now pulling away. Mo finally moves out, tries to find a little bit of room, comes charging up on the outside. She just gets the win, 2:4.76. Well, close. You know, if they'd all just were helped a little bit more with Trost, all four of them could have got through. Mo probably thinking that I don't have to do anything else but kick. She's through, not a problem. But one or two of the others might feel as though they lost an opportunity there, Paula.
Well, they might, but looking at their faces, I'm not sure that they were able to. I'm not sure whether it was that they weren't willing to. I think they just were not able to get up to the front and help Trost. Even Mo coming through to win the heat on the line there, she was working very hard. She's rocking and rolling. That's everything that she's got there to come through and run 2:4, whereas Trost is controlled. She knows that she's put the work in to get them there, but she knows she's comfortable in that second qualifying position. I think Hedheim at the moment will still go through as a fastest loser, but there is one more heat yet to come. But I think they weren't able to be able to come through and contribute anymore. You could say Mo was maybe slightly boxed earlier on in the race, but I still don't think that she had much more to give there.
So there's the times, very tight in the end, and the Norwegian will have to wait and see. She is in a fastest loser spot at the moment, but we do have one more heat to come with 5 athletes in that.
One more try at 172.
Well, the Olympic champion taking it easy. Heptathlon champion in Rio ahead of Jessica Ennis-Hill. Bit of a changing of the guard last year. Here's a previous champion of indoor competition, a world indoor champion in 2014. Decent hurdles, not quite her best. Starts her high jump, 172. Oh, made light work of that. That left knee strapped, slight concern maybe there. Brorson, well, gets off to a clean start. Second event of 5, all in one day. Mentioned Jess Ennis-Hill and that changing of the guard last year with Nafi Tiam, and I know Tony's down in the infield listening.
Hi, Steve. Yeah,
Brorson clear there. What do you make of it so far, Tony?
I think it's an early start. I mean, Brorson took 2 attempts at her opening height at 169, so yeah, she'd been sat for 40 odd minutes waiting because this competition's started quite a while. So if you have to warm up and then sit down for 3/4 of an hour, it's difficult to get into it. But you saw 172, much quicker running on the runway, and had no problems with it at all. We've only lost so far one person. The French girl Turpin is about to go again on her 3rd attempt, taking off a little bit far away from the runway. Seeing the judges on the not the judges, the coaches on the far side have been given instruction. Let's see how she takes off this time, but again, just too far away. The very short steps at the beginning. If she'd have pressed a little bit more, taken bigger steps and pressed out, that would have put her high point probably above the bar instead of in front of it where she's coming down on it. So little bits of adjustments going on, but Tiam won't come in till 181. That's what she's declared. So again, you see her just sat there waiting and waiting. So it'll be about an hour that she's been waiting since she completed her warm-up.
And on the other side of the arena, from the high jump in the pentathlon, we have the last of the first round heats in the women's 800 meters. This the lineup, and Selina Buchel, the defending European indoor champion, running very well this season as well. You see that time just outside 2 minutes. She ran in Karlsruhe. Should be a strong favourite here. 2 going through automatically. It's 4 fastest losers who go through, and they know the time they're chasing. There is Selina Buchel. So just in Karlsruhe last month, at the start of February, she went so close to 2 minutes. Esther Guerrero of Spain goes on the inside, Spanish indoor champion. So the time they're looking for in terms of fastest losers, they're looking for 2:05.63. I think Anna Sylvander of Sweden is in the 4th position at the moment. But Buchel goes here in lane 5. Charlene Matthias of Luxembourg outside her. Sanne Verstegen of the Netherlands in 4, and Ingvild Elvemo of Norway in lane 3, just outside Guerrero. So Guerrero and Selina Buchel, the two quickest athletes here on paper. But again, the others know that, well, if they can get close to 2:06, 2:05, they'll be in with a chance of going through as the fastest loser to the semi-finals, which take place tomorrow. But it's Guerrero out in front at the moment, with Elvemo, the Norwegian athlete, behind her. And Buchel just biding her time at the back of the field, sitting and waiting and watching.
Yeah, probably would say that Buchel is the big favourite coming into this event, and she's certainly sitting back and letting this race unfold in front of her. A danger could come from Sanne Verstegen as well. She ran very well in Birmingham to beat Ellen van Langen's Dutch indoor record that had stood for a long time. So she's in shape, and she's dangerous if this goes too slow. But the girls here should know what they're working towards. They should have had an eye on that track. They should know where those fastest losers sit. We do have to clear that up. I think it is 4 fastest losers go through, so it is around about 2:05 at the minute that they need to run quicker than. So they need to pick it up now. The previous racers have backed off on this 3rd lap.
So at the moment, Guerrero, then Elvemo, and Verstegen, and Selina Buchel still waiting. We saw Anita Henriksdottir making her move just around the home straight in the 3rd lap, and we'll see if Buchel now just beginning to cruise past Elvemo. She has that strength, that stamina, that change in pace.
Yeah, she does. She doesn't look great so far, although she is turning the burners on now, but she's struggling to get past Verstegen.
So Verstegen out in front, ahead of Selina Buchel, and Guerrero now beginning to tire just a little bit too, going through automatically. Look at the effort in Guerrero's face. Verstegen still out in front. Selina Buchel looking relatively comfortable. Guerrero digging in, getting back on the coattails of Buchel now. Buchel around Verstegen. Guerrero still hanging in, and Verstegen might be the one to suffer now. 2 going through automatically. Guerrero trying to get back to the Dutch athlete. Buchel's going to take the victory. Guerrero has the second win and takes 2nd place. And Verstegen, well, at that time she will go through anyway. 2:03.12 the winning time. Guerrero, I thought she might be spent, but quick enough from those 3 athletes who are a long way clear of the rest to go through in any case, but Buchel the winner.
Yeah, she looked good in the end, and I think there was maybe nerves showing on her face a little bit. It is nerve-wracking to come into the heats when you know that you're so much quicker than the other girls on paper, and you should be able to control it, and you're trying to also save energy for the rounds to come. But Buchel in the end, although she was a little bit slow to react in the closing stages, once she moved onto Verstegen's shoulder, once she moved past there, she's still looking very relaxed. She's got a little bit more to give, whereas Verstegen is working very hard, frantically looking up at the screen to see Guerrero running up on her outside, but she should know at that point that she's run quick enough to go through as the fastest loser anyway.
As mentioned, she's been running well. Verstegen, Buchel taking the victory. Verstegen actually ran well in that 1,000 metres recently that Laura Muir set a European record. Buchel taking the victory, and Guerrero in 2nd place. Verstegen going through as one of the 4 fastest losers. So the result of that one, Selina Buchel, who will be a strong contender for the title here in Belgrade, taking the victory, taking the automatic qualifying alongside Esther Guerrero. Verstegen goes through, and actually it was quick enough for Charlene Matthias of Luxembourg to go through as one of the fastest losers as well. Ingvild Elvemo just missing out.
Well, that concludes the women's 800 metres first round. It'll be the turn of the men shortly, but before that, all the way through these championships, we're going to have a little look back at some of the previous British successes. We're calling them our Euro stars. You might just recognise this first one.
The 6 athletes on their way for this men's 800 metres, in which young Sebastian Coe is wearing 93. And Coe leads at the moment. Another lad is coached by his father, Peter Coe, and he's running away from this field at the moment with 1 lap to go. Really leaving a long trail behind him. Goka, the nearest man to him, then Hasler, then the Spaniard Paez, but still they're not closing the gap. Coe is going away again. Goka trying to come to terms, but he really is taking them on, and he's done it from the front. Coe coming away, looking full of fight, and Coe could have a remarkable record. Just outside the world record indoors for Coe, who really has this crowd standing on its feet.
Yeah, very good memories there. Seb Coe winning. Paula, Seb did well, but the bloke who finished last, if he cut his hair, he might have finished a little bit further up. It was great to see that, though.
It is. It's really good to see that and to see how much things have changed but also haven't changed. It's still a very competitive time, and we'll probably see him advancing easily from the heats coming up here now. And yeah,
it's an event where we've had a lot of success over the year. Mr. Cotter's.
Well, I'm just wondering why neither of you really fancied indoors.
I was too tall.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah.
No, I wasn't too tall. That was an excuse. Seb was ideally suited. Lots of athletes are very suited to indoor runners, and Seb did a lot right the way through his career, and he won plenty of medals indoors as well. Anyway, we're going to see more of our past British successes throughout the weekend, but for now we need a little bit of an update in the women's shot put from Steve.
Yeah, bit of an update, Crammy. Rachel Wallader there, you can just see her getting ready for her third attempt, and she's going to need to improve because the news is at the end of the second round, she was pushed down from that 6th place we saw her in to 10th. Only 8 athletes will qualify for this evening's final. She makes preparations for her third throw as we watch Claudine Vita landing bang on that 18-metre line. Well, we know that's slightly out by previous efforts, somewhere in late 17s. Well, Dubitskaya still the leading qualifier, 18:13. Vita, though, a personal best in the second round. Here is Dubitskaya of Belarus. It's only qualifier, remember, no medals awarded, only a place in the final should you get into the top 8. Dubitskaya already has a place, pretty much. She's the leading thrower, but maybe just an insurance effort there. Shot putters tend to do a lot of throws in training, so maybe just orientating herself to the sector. All in a cage on the far side of the stadium here. So that's Dubitskaya, one to watch when it comes to the final. So Anita Martin looking at her second attempt, rotating as you'll see, quick, bang on that 18-metre line. Slightly behind the efforts of Dubitskaya. Shake of the head from Martin, the Olympic bronze medalist. We know she can compete. It's going to be quite a final, that. A battle certainly going into the 18 metres. Martin assured to get a place. Well, Rachel Wallader of Great Britain knows exactly what's in front of her. 17:20 her best so far. She needs a throw in excess of 17:25 in this third and final round. Oh, that's high and long. Well, Rachel Wallader, pursed lips. She mustered everything she's got there, and I think she's improved. That's better, kept her left side, she didn't open up, it's down the middle. Well, back up into 8th place, 17:35, that might get her through to tonight's final. What an effort from Rachel Wallader. She has done all she can rest. It's up to the other athletes, though, because if anyone goes beyond 17:35, Wallader is out. It would be a great effort to make the final. The first shot putter since Judy Oakes in 2000 to compete in the European Indoor Championships. But she'll have a nervous wait to see if anyone goes beyond her 8th place. Right then, here's Alina Shuk of the Ukraine in the high jump. She no-heighted in her last competition prior to coming here to the European Indoors. She also broke the World Junior record, 18 just a few weeks ago. And, well, I mentioned she no-heighted. There's clearly errors and technical challenges that she's looking to address. She knew they were there. Maybe Tony can shed some light on that. Tony Minicello.
I mean, she's been waiting an hour before she'd come into this competition, but she seems quite assured and quite a cool youngster, because she lost a brake mark, and a brake mark is the second piece of tape that she's put onto the track. She lost it, but quite calmly she went, picked up another roll of tape, waited for a moment, and then just put that back in. The only thing I've seen there really is that she travels a long way across the bar, so she's not converting enough of a runway to lift, really. She's just running through the bar, so it's more of a long jump than the high jump you'd really want.
Thanks, Tony. And we move back to the men's 800 meters. Just to pick up Andrew Cotter's question, actually, there's the lineup for you. Farkan of Germany, a couple of good youngsters. He's just 19. Cooper's former medalist in these championships. Bryce Ette. I've got it. Paula's looking at me. You get the pronunciation right.
Bryce
Ette. Bryce, that's right. Kramer from Sweden, and Dujar from Spain, and Vindic of Hungary. He asked if I did run indoors once, 5,000 meters in Spain. I remember it was a velodrome with a track inside, and it was a cycle meet, 12,000 people all smoking. And I remember, and it was watching that Seb thing, you know, kind of running through the haze. Different days, eh? I remember thinking 5,000 is a long way, especially when I'm breathing in so much smoke as well. Anyway, interesting, that young lad there, Robert Farkan of Germany. New German indoor champion, just 19 years of age, very quick outdoors last year as well. Didn't qualify for the World Junior Championships, missed it, ran quick enough to, but missed the qualification window. And then you've got the experience of Coopers. I'm told he's in good shape. He's only run one race this winter at the Dutch Indoor Championships. Bronze medalist last time. So mix here, Paula, of bright new talent, including Kramer of Sweden as well in second, and the experience of Coopers.
Yeah, and you can see that Kramer's definitely gone out with a plan there to track Coopers and to follow every move. Farkan acquitted himself well so far. He needs to run this race as if it's almost a straight-out race final for him, and just take the rounds step by step. He did progress very late at the end of 2016, but is a smart and bright talent for the future.
So the top two to qualify, and the four fastest losers, four of them pulling well away at the moment. Coopers leading. Took it out pretty quick, 50.87. He hasn't run that fast so far this year. As I said, only one race, but have been told he's in good shape. Looking good at the moment. Kramer of Sweden, the 19-year-old, doing well and holding off the other 19-year-olds in fourth at the moment. And the Spaniard, Andjar, is just in the third spot now. And, well, the German's starting to falter a little bit, Paula, as is Coopers.
Yeah, Coopers is really falling back. Almost as quickly as Farkan is, and didn't expect that. I expected him to react a little bit better. Maybe he's going to regroup and then be able to attack again, but he looks under pressure.
Cooper's trying to come back again, only the top two to go through. He's still got a chance of getting past Andujar. But it's the other 19-year-old Kramer, looking good. Just knees just dropping a bit, but he's driving on, and Coopers does come back and get second place. And Farkan finished pretty quickly, but couldn't get up to the top three there. So those two go through. Well, that was pretty impressive from the Swede, wasn't it? He's run a tad quicker than the German, not outdoors, but indoors this year. Personal best for him. And he was the one who, in the battle of the teenagers, certainly came out on top there. And that's a personal best, knocking another three, almost a second off his best. Very impressive.
It's a big personal best, and to run it like that in the heats, like I say, he did come out and try to run that as if it was a final, but he had no inhibitions about going past Coopers at all. No worries there. He just breezed straight past him and then attacked hard. And in the end, Coopers did have enough left to get past Andujar quite comfortably, but I'm not sure that he would have planned for the race to pan out that way.
Yeah, he just got a little bit leggy towards the end there, but he's tall and he's got a bit of pace. You saw that change of acceleration, so a very good win for him. Here he goes, just getting a bit tired here, and he get his arms to keep driving those legs forward. Cooper's strong finish from him. Probably got took by surprise a little bit. And Andujar, well, 1:47.32 for the Spaniard in third spot. That's got a chance of going through with four fastest loser spots from these four races. So that personal best, big personal best, and a season's best for Coopers, just his second race of the year.
Well, here is another chance to see Elina Shukov, the Ukraine, the world junior record holder. Second attempt at 175. Toni Minicello told us what she has to change to go clear. Has she done it? Well, yes, she has, and by some margin. She is a 190 plus high jumper at her best, so let's have a look at this. Yeah, much better from the Ukrainian youngster. It's early height though, 175, it's her opening height. Nerve settler for sure. Toni, did you manage to get a word with her? She listened. Toni Minicello, we're just having a look at that again, and she made some adjustments. Was she within earshot? Did she listen to you?
No, it's got nothing to do with me. I'm just an observer here. It's actually the first time in a competition that I'm watching everybody. Normally, as a coach, you're really only focused on your own athlete. And it's interesting, Shuk starts on the actual athletics track. And so it was touch and go between the start of the men's 800 heat and whether she'd be able to run quickly. I saw officials looking around nervously as to whether to intervene or not. So, but if you look at all the heptathletes now, there's a lot more on their feet. They're running around, jumping around, and that's nervous energy. That's them getting sort of excited. The adrenaline's flowing now. Now we're getting to the business end of the high jump competition.
So we just have another look at this. Jumping from the left side, she had the space, she had the vertical element that maybe was missing. Toni talked about her travelling in that first step. She gets up off of her contact there, and a significant clearance. That'll be a real confidence boost. The next height is 178. Second event of 5 in the pentathlon. Toni, is she the future of the event, do you believe?
Only time will tell, to be brutally honest, because she's really young and she's very young looking, so there's a long time for her to mature in herself. I'm looking at some of the other young girls, the young Austrian who's now 22, and she's filled out a little bit more, clearly spent the winter in the weights room now, getting stronger, and that's what happens over time, is the athletes get stronger, you see the physicality come out, but she's a very young looking 18-year-old, so, and some great skills, some great high jumping skills. Her sprinting isn't quite there, running, but hopefully that will come with time.
And a quick question on the main contender, Nafi Teil, the Olympic champion. We talk about athletes having to wait around. She's not even got her spikes on yet, or maybe just putting them on now in shot. You can see how much of a challenge is the weight that Nafi Teil will have to make in this second event, the high jump.
I think it's something she'll be used to. Heptathlon high jump, it's now, crikey, we've been going sort of 70 minutes and she still hasn't had a jump. She only just started to get onto her feet, ran about a little bit, did some short sprints, and then went over to an official and asked if she could be excused to go to the ladies' room and come back. So she's taking it all in a stride. She's just taking her time. So 181's quite early, I think, for her to come in. That's the height she's going to come in at, considering she's a best of 98 outdoors. So she's going to come in early, probably use it as a sighter, and then don't be too surprised, she might skip 84 and go straight to 87.
Nafi Teil under the watchful eye of our insider man down in the infield, Toni Minicello, as we move on to the 800 metres, the second heat in the first round of the men's 800 metres, and Amel Tuka goes in this one. Others to look out for, well, Zach Curran goes for Ireland. Borkowski, the Polish athlete, the 19-year-old, well, what a great pedigree they have in this event through Marcin Lewandowski and Adam Kaszot, who goes shortly, but perhaps Borkowski, the future of the event for Polish men. Repchik of Slovak Republic goes in 1, Tuka in 2, Borkowski in 3, Zach Curran in 4, Kubista, the Czech Republic in 5, and Paul Moya of Andorra on the outside. 2 going through automatically, plus the 4 fastest losers. And also keep an eye out for the time. The first heat won quickly by Kramer of Sweden, 146.86, and it's Tuka who likes to always already a little clip and a hand out to steady himself from Borkowski, the young Polish athlete, getting his first experience of major championship senior racing as well, and it can be a lively affair. But Tuka often likes to sit outside, he likes to sit at the back and time his run, but a different approach here.
A very different approach, and also a little bit of a different look look on his face. I wonder if it's got, now he's looking a little bit more relaxed, but he was looking a little bit more in pain on that first lap, and he does have his ankle quite heavily strapped, it showed on the start line. So Tuka should be able to control and come through this heat fairly easily. Behind him, they're all very, very balanced, and it's going to be a tough race here to get those qualifying positions.
Tuka, the World Championship bronze medalist, in front at the moment. Kubista on his shoulder, and Mateusz Borkowski, the 19-year-old Polish athlete, moving out wide and moving through. Has he spent too much energy here? Just trying to get on the shoulder of Tuka, who responds and keeps the youngster at bay, just slaps him down. Tuka out in front, Borkowski then. And behind him, Jan Kubista, the Czech Republic, two going through automatically.
Borkowski and Kubista going through. Zach Curran also moving up now to put himself into contention. If he can run a personal best, he's got a chance of advancing as the fastest loser.
Oh, his head starts to dip though, Curran, and arms flailing, and Tuka and Borkowski, and Kubista comes around the outside. He's motoring away from Tuka and from Mateusz Borkowski, and Zach Curran's got a lot of work to do now, but Kubista moving away, and Jan Kubista to take the victory, and Tuka second, and Mateusz Borkowski, a 19-year-old Polish athlete. I see the Amel Tuka there just looking down his leg as if he took a bit of a spike perhaps, but Kubista had plenty of energy there, and the acceleration with a sort of 100 meters, 150 to go really took him clear of the field.
Yeah, I think Tuka might be carrying something there, because he's limping a little bit as he walks around there, and he certainly wasn't able to respond when Kubista came past him, and it wasn't that quick there, running 1:49. Tuka should be able to handle that quite easily, but as it was, when Kubista sped past him there was no reaction whatsoever, and Tuka was already looking around just to make sure that he had enough done to be able to hold off Borkowski down that straight. Borkowski's giving it everything that he can to try and get back on terms, but he's not able to get there.
Yes, not a quick race. So Kubista, just perhaps the healthiest man there. Tuka was, as Paula says, struggling a bit, far below his normal pedigree. He will go through, but that's worrying for Amel Tuka. And you can see the effort and the grimace on his face, but he does go through automatically. But again, Amel Tuka really should have enough to respond here and be able to keep up with Kubista, but he was just at the end holding off Mateusz Borkowski, the young Polish athlete. But a good win by Kubista, who goes through to the semi-finals. They take place tomorrow.
Well, the final attempts in this women's shot put qualification. At the start of the third round, Great Britain's Rachel Wallader is in 8th place. This Fanny Roos of Sweden, the best in the second round of 17.69. So already ahead of Rachel Wallader. So no real concern here, although it looks a slight improvement for the Swede. In fact, it is 17.76, goes up to 4th place. Vladislava Maradeva of Belarus, 29 years of age. Best of 17.47, the Bulgarian. Well, also saving her best till last. Oh, she means business. Slight improvement, but again, an athlete who is ahead of Rachel Wallader. Well, the smile breaks at last. 6th place, she's in the final. Well, Anita Martin in 2nd place behind Lubitskaya of Belarus, the Hungarian rotating. That's better. That's what we expected. She knows it. Anita Martin, defending champion. Bit of a statement that. She already had a place 2nd overall. Clearly had some technical stuff to work on ahead of this evening's final. Executed to good effect. Possibly the longest throw. 18.44, that is the longest throw we've seen in qualification. All right then, Paulina Guba of Poland. A significant effort this, because she's behind Rachel Wallader in the 2nd round. But that scream will echo in the ears of Rachel Wallader, because Paulina Guba of Poland has thrown a good, very good, in fact, 17.62 comes up. What a putt. Well, that's disappointment, ecstasy for the Polish athlete, but Woloda, a really solid effort, but that pushes her outside of the top 8. In fact, Guber goes into 8th. Well, here's confirmation then. There are, well, 7 of the 8 qualifiers for this evening final. Martin the best, 18.44. And there's your confirmation. Rachel Woloda just shy of her season's best. Rachel 17.55 in 10th place, too shy of qualification.
Well, hoping to qualify in the men's 800 is Kyle Langford, the 21-year-old who found some very good season form with a new British record. It's 600 metres, 76.1, and then a good run in Birmingham. Took the decision, I think a good decision, to come to these European Championships. He's up against Kevin Lopez of Spain on the inside, the very experienced Spanish athlete. I think this is a good heat for Kyle. I think apart from Lopez, the rest shouldn't pose him too much problem. We've got Kessler of Germany on the outside, Talan, Vandenbroek of Belgium, and Santa Cruz of Switzerland. So Kyle has gone to the front, but he won't mind keeping the pace not too quick. He knows he's got pace to burn, doesn't he?
He does, but I do really feel that with Kyle, he needs to get out and he needs to race this hard, as he would race any indoor meet or any straight final here. He doesn't want to mess around too much, thinking about conserving energy for the next rounds and looking around like he is doing there. He wants to react, go right up alongside Lopez and track every move, because Lopez is the one with the experience in this race.
Little shove in the back from the tall Kessler of Germany for Langford. And I think it's probably because they realise I saw him sort of do this at the UK Championships, and he didn't really respond very well. I'm sure he'd be much better here. He's more confident at the moment, 54.27. But Kyle just needs to be closer than that. I know he's got pace to burn, that's fine, but you don't want to get yourself into trouble as Kessler moves up on the outside of him. And now Kyle Langford's in 4th, and now he's got some traffic ahead of him.
Now he's boxed and he's struggling. He's still looking behind. He doesn't need to look behind. He just needs to seize that space now, get out and move up and get himself back into contention. When he just races and doesn't think too much about what he's doing, then he's a much stronger athlete.
Yeah, as I said, he's got plenty of pace, but he just does sometimes worry. Lopez, lots of experience. It should be Lopez and Langford. And Kyle needs to pick up here. He's got some danger around him. Vandenbroek. And he looks like he's going to wait and wait and wait. So only the top 2 to go through. Kyle's looking for an inside run here. Lopez is going to win it, and he's got traffic to go through. Is he going to make it? Kessler's there. Here comes Langford. Well, Kyle. Do you know, this lad is such a talent. I mean, we all know him well. Do you know, he's got the ability. I know, of course it worked, but imagine if that gap had just closed up on him. Then he would have been in real trouble there. That's not smart running, and he just needs to go away and think, look, do I need to give myself that sort of risk? A little blow of the cheeks there. It's not a problem for him. He's so quick, and he can get out. He would have been, as a fastest loser, he would have lost out there because that was a slow heat. And yes, he's come through, and yes, he's shown us what his ability is. But from here, Paula, that could have been real danger for him. That's not a good place to be.
That was real danger. Already had put himself in danger before that, because he was looking back behind him and Vandenbroek was coming through on the outside. He got himself boxed. He tried to go inside. Then he went back and he managed to squeeze through that gap. But if that gap hadn't have opened up, he would have been in big trouble there. And that's just not one mistake. That was 4 mistakes. He put himself in the wrong position in that race, but he did still come through it. And you do have to say that tactically he has learned some lessons there, and that's why it was key that he came to these championships, I think, to learn and to move on and to get the experience of moving through the rounds. But it's a jammy way to learn, put it that way.
It is, and he's a much better athlete than Kessler and Vandenbroek, and he's gone through there. They're the 2 names who should have gone through, Langford and Lopez, but goodness me, did he give us a little bit of a fright there. He lets them go away, and then yes, he's got the pace, but he just gave up a bad position on the last lap and then left himself with to find a gap. Thankfully it appeared and he got through, so I'm just looking, I can see he's made it across to Phil, so hopefully he's got his breath back and he can tell us all about it from his point of view.
Thanks a lot, Steve. Carl, well done on getting through. Tell me your tactical approach at the start line. What were you thinking? How were you hoping the race would unfold?
I was hoping it was going to be a bit spread out. someone would take us. The first heat I saw was 1:46, so it was fast. I was hoping someone would take it out and the field would be stretched and I could just sit in and kick round first to win the heat, but it was a bit slower, a bit sloppy. You know, everyone was getting clipped a little bit, and it was one of the things I felt good the whole time. I was just waiting for that last 100, I think that's 25 meters, I don't even know. But I knew if I stuck it inside, sneaked through the inside a little bit, I trusted my speed, I felt good the whole time. So even with that last straight to go, I was in fourth, but I knew if I found the space, I was going to slide straight through, and I did exactly that, and it worked quite well.
I know Paula Radcliffe and Steve Cram in commentary saying we know what a great talent you are, and it's a danger for you when you overthink a race as opposed to just doing what comes naturally to you.
Yeah, and I've done that a few times in the past. I did it last year. I raced awful. I had one bad race in Italy, and I managed to bounce back and run really well 5 days later. And you know, I enjoyed the race in Ireland where I run really well, and I didn't enjoy the race in Italy. I overthought it. I was putting too much pressure on myself. Now I'm just enjoying my racing, and it's you know, if you enjoy it and you love it, that's when everything comes together. So just enjoying being back running, especially after injury last year. So I'm just grateful I'm running again, to be honest.
Well, it's great to see you back. We wish you well for the next round.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, he is running well, Guy Learmonth next, but that little line he said there, if the space was going to come, I knew I'd get through. The trouble was, there was a big if in there. Thankfully it worked out for him. I don't think that Guy will run this race in the same way. Bit of a toughie here, Andrew.
It is indeed. He's got Adam Peugeot outside him, Andreas Bubi inside too, going through automatically. He's had a tough couple of years on and off the track, Guy Learmonth. Really between the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow and then leading up to that hamstring injury at the Olympic trials, but running very, very well indeed now, and has every chance of not just going through to the semi-finals and the final, perhaps contending for something there. But as Steve was saying, it's not easy at all, because Andreas Bubi of Denmark is running strongly. Shot, of course, so experienced and so talented. Alvaro de Arriba of Spain in lane 6 is part of a very, very strong Spanish team. Well, he is the UK indoor champion. As I mentioned, it's not been a great time for him off the track. Just after the Commonwealth Games, both of his grandfathers died, and had a close friend who was involved in a serious car accident, and then a series of injuries as well. And he had to dig deep into his reserves to keep going. Switched coaches as well, and is fit and going well now. Adam Peugeot, though, what a wonderful competitor he has been for some time now. Still just 27, but twice European champion, twice European indoor champion, and has won the Polish title again this year. But Learmonth, a new personal best, down to 1:47 flat, and very interesting to see how he runs it tactically. We see the contrast perhaps with Kyle Langford, who is through, if you've just joined us, through safely. But only 2 going through automatically again, and I wonder what sort of pace the race will be run at, because Peugeot is outside him and Andreas Bubi inside, former European silver medalist. So you've got Paul Renaudie of France in lane 1, Kirchian of Armenia in 2, Andreas Bubi of Denmark goes in 3, Learmonth there in 4, Adam Peugeot in 5, and Alvaro de Arriba of Spain in lane 6. The final heat in the first round of the men's 800 meters, 2 going through automatically, and Guy Learmonth immediately taking it out. A little glance to his inside and then to his out. He knows Peugeot will be there, but Guy Learmonth out with a couple of meters in front of the rest.
And absolutely doing the right thing, I think, here, Guy. Getting the pace moving and getting it moving well and keeping himself out of trouble. Peugeot really should be able to run this race and qualify it as he sees fit and as he pleases. But behind him, they're very, very much of a muchness. So what they should have done is had a look at those fastest losers, seen that if they run around 1:49, they've got a good chance of advancing. Certainly 1:48, they'll go through as a fastest loser. And Guy has really got this moving and keeping it moving. And what he needs now is maybe someone else to just help him out a little bit. Renaudie could come past him and help him a little bit, because he's starting to back off as he hits 400 meters here. 53, so it's moving, but it's not super quick.
Well, the man in fourth place, Adam Cachot, will certainly have plenty to spare, and he's just beginning to close the gap now on Alvaro de Arriba in third. So it's Renaudí in second, just behind Guy Learmonth, who is the pacemaker for the rest at the moment. But Guy Learmonth out of trouble, out in front. But again, the others are just feeding off him and working off him.
Yeah, he could do with a little bit of help. He's looking up at the screens. He can see the guys queuing up behind him. He can probably see Cachot starting to make his move now and come round. And he just needs to maintain his form, stay strong, and just run hard from here on in. It's not worth trying to save any energy at this point.
Cachot making his move, and Andres Buber trying to go with him as well. Past Renaudí he goes, so Cachot passing Learmonth, and Learmonth in a bit of danger now, but he's led out a fairly fast pace though. Does he have enough to hold off Andres Buber? And De Arriba is finishing strongly as well, the French athlete. Learmonth digging in, but he's in trouble. Cachot takes the win, and then Learmonth passed by Renaudí, by De Arriba, by Buber, and Learmonth down eventually. Second to last in the race after doing all the work, after taking it out. 4 go through as fastest losers though, and looking at the time, Cachot winning it in 1:48.37. I'm not sure that's going to be quick enough.
I'm not sure. It's close, and he has a chance, and he's going to have to be looking at that. But you could see by the way that he slapped his palm to his forehead as he came through there, that he made a tactical error in that he was looking up at the screen and trying to see for dangers coming through, when really at that point, with, as Kyle said, 25 metres left to go in a heat, you're not going to save any energy. Just run as hard as you can to the line, give it everything that you've got. Don't try and qualify in second position, just run hard from this point, because as it was, he sees himself run out there, I think into the third fastest loser it would be from that heat, and I don't think he's going to make it, because I think Farken and Farken and Kramer or Andejar will have gone through from that first heat.
Well, they have, so Guy Learmonth is going to miss out 1:50.08 he's run, but again he took it out. He did so much right in the first half of the race, but the others were just using him, and you see the speed of Buber. And De Arriba I thought was gone, but he had plenty to finish with as well. But Cachot in control, and Learmonth, well, it says it all as he comes across the line.
Yeah, I think he knows there.
So Cachot and De Arriba through automatically, Renaudí and Andres Buber going through as fastest losers. But as Paula was saying, you had from earlier heats, you had Daniel Anderhar, the Spanish athlete, and also Robert Farken, the 19-year-old German going through. So Guy Learmonth, that'll be deeply frustrating, obviously. Let's get his thoughts now. He's talking to Phil.
Well, Guy's disappointed to find out that time's not going to get you through. You thought it might, but it looked like you were going to get through by right for a long time there.
Yeah, that was the plan, to take it out and just run hard. I don't know what I've done. I've just lapsed concentration the last 5 meters, I think. Absolutely devastated. You know, I felt good coming into this. I've been running well, and it's sad for it to end the way it did today.
Were you trying, when Cachot came speeding round you, what's going through your mind at that point? Are you just trying to conserve energy? What's the thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I was waiting for him all race, but I felt good. I thought he was going to come at 400 with 2 laps to go, but he came in the last 100, and I thought just hold the position, I feel good, and I got caught off guard there, and it's a big learning lesson. I'm absolutely devastated, so I've only got myself to blame.
Guy, thanks for stopping and talking, we appreciate it.
Cheers, Phil.
So it doesn't go through again, just to clear up on his time at 1:48.73, Guy Learmonth, so he misses out by 1 place in the fastest losers. So again, hugely disappointing, frustrating for Guy Learmonth. 24 though, there will be races to come, but that will not be any consolation to him. Just now Kyle Langford is through, Guy Learmonth is not.
First time this winter, 181.
Jana Maximova, well, goes clear. The Belarusian 181. We're gradually working through the heights here. It's taken some time, I have to tell you. A lot of patience needed in that pentathlon second event, taking what seems like forever. But Maximova clear at 181. A challenger for the title for sure. Well, here's one of a couple of juniors, Bianca Salming of Sweden, same height, goes clear. Well, we're getting towards the business end. Smile from her, 18 years of age. 4th in the World Junior Championships last year, competing as a senior to good effect. Clean sheet so far. Well, here's the other 18-year-old we've mentioned earlier, Alina Shuk of the Ukraine, World Junior record holder. Well, she's in lane 3 by the looks of it, out on the far side of the track. We'll have to run across. I think she's removed the curb, so nothing in her way. Goes deep into that, good. Well, Shuk goes clear at 181. So still a lot of athletes, some time still to sort out what points will be allocated in that second event. Shuk clear at 181 on the second time of asking. Well, Tony, still no sign of the champion Tiam, but some good efforts from the youngsters there.
Yeah, it looks as if Tiam will probably come in at 184, maybe even 187, looking at how relaxed she is, and we're into third attempts at 181, so she's going to push her away a little bit further, I think, and just wait. So it'll be close to might be close to 2 hours the young lady's been sat there since the competition started. Interestingly enough, for Shuk, the Ukrainian girl, I feel sorry for her. Her first attempt at 181, she was in her lane, ready to go, and the officials took her off because they had to wait for the 800 metres. Then there were a lot of introductions for the 800 metres, and then they allowed her to go back to a mark. So she made a mess of the first attempt, probably because she was ready, and then they'd asked her to stop, and then she wasn't ready, then they asked you to go back. And it's difficult to sort of balance that out when you're in this environment, but no problem, second attempt, and cleared it by a good margin.
Jenny Elba, 1388, second place.
Well, that's Tiam, you can see there in the long black tights, the Olympic champion last year, in the middle of his shot there, waiting to go in the high jump. She cleared 198 in Rio, just to remind you, and the high jump was won in 197. That's how good she is. Give you an idea of the geography here in the stadium in Belarus. There's Paula and Krammy ready to pick up. It's action thick and fast here, Steve.
Yeah, you're not going to miss anything, but Paul and I are just going to take a few minutes to have a bit of a chat about something which I know many people will have read over the last week or so, the allegations from the leaked report by US Anti-Doping Authority facing Alberto Salazar and again Mo Farah. Now, the British Athletics Performance Director, Neil Black, was questioned yesterday at the press conference as to whether or not it was time to review again the relationship with British athletics and the Oregon Project.
USADA themselves made a statement saying, what words did they use? That it would be unreasonable and potentially even reckless to actually assume wrong. And their statement was that until an anti-doping process has been completed and the findings have been confirmed, then we shouldn't make those assumptions. And I think that's a perfectly reasonable stance, and in effect that is our stance.
Do you worry that you might regret though not having perhaps acted sooner when it does come out, given that you have seen parts of this report which are relatively damning?
I think we're really confident in the process. We've worked closely with, we're respectful of, and so that's kind of where we're at, really.
Are you confident in all your processes with things like, when athletes not only get TUEs but maybe are getting things like tramadol or they eat corticosteroids or anything? Are you concerned that any of the things that happen in British cycling could be happening in British athletics?
I think the best way I can answer the question is that we're really, really confident that everything that we do and the way we act follows really, really correctly the processes of clean athletics. And if it says you do X, Y, and Z, then we do X, Y, and Z.
Well, some, I guess, difficult questions, and Neil Black doing his best to answer them. British cycling, their issues, and this has resurfaced again, the allegations from this leaked report. Neil was in Ethiopia this week with Mo Farah. Do you think it would have been another conversation, or just carry on as he was alluding to there?
I think what he's alluding to there is that they've very much looked at the situation, they've monitored the situation as it's been evolving, they've been following and in contact with USADA, with UK anti-doping, as much as they can through this. Best people to know what's going on in all of this are Mo and Alberto, and if Mo and Alberto are telling them, no, we've done everything right, we're not concerned about anything, they kind of need to trust that, and if they've not found anything to the contrary to go against that, then I don't see how they can go against Mo and say you have to leave your coach when there's not actually any evidence being presented out.
And that's a key point, isn't it? I mean, both Farah and Salazar have both again refuted the allegations and have said up until this point US anti-doping authority have not gone after either or both in the sense of any evidence, any real hard evidence. And a lot of it was about processes and kind of some of those grey areas.
Yeah.
But is that itself, those grey areas, is that something the British Athletics needs to be a bit more aware of?
Well, I think certainly that's probably what they're leaning to with the cycling questions and the British cycling questions. Were those grey areas pushed to such an extent that, okay, they didn't cross a legal line, but did they cross an ethical line? And I think where the frustration from the other side, from Mo's side of it, is coming is that all of this investigation that's been done into, are people pushing grey areas, are they pushing the unethical areas, but they're not breaking any rules? What's happening to the people who actually are breaking the rules, taking the really serious drugs and aren't being followed up on? Why aren't we getting the names off the Fuentes list, for example? Why aren't the EPO that was found in Jama Aden's hotel room, why isn't that being looked at?
And we should say it's selective leaking of information. Yeah. Obviously, Salazar and Farah are big names in the sport. That's probably why. Because as far as I understand, the leaked information has come from the Fancy Bears scenario. I get that, you know, but I just wonder at what point British Athletics has to kind of say, hang on, this is, you know, grey area or no grey area. There comes a point at which we have to make a decision.
And we have to look at it. And I think also questions need to be asked. Why is this investigation by USADA taking so long? How can it have taken so long from when these allegations were first surfaced by Steve Magnus, by Cara Gaucho, a couple of years ago now, and it's still not moved forward? Why hasn't that moved forward? And are they being fair to the athletes if they don't have the evidence in not bringing that report?
And I think
out?
that's the point that Farah and Salazar is saying. We've had all of this time, we've had a lot of investigation. They've complied with that investigation as much as they said they have. So, you know, what else is there for them? What else can they do? You know, until proven guilty, you are innocent.
You are, and I think if you're an athlete in that situation and you know that you're innocent, then all of this is kind of, it's noise that you've got to try and block out and take away, not take energy away from your training. Be able to prepare and know, yes, I haven't broken any rules, I haven't done anything, but it's hard when you're getting dragged through it and questions still keep dragging on and no answers are being given by the agencies.
What next? I mean, you know, Neil's pretty strong in terms of his words that as far as we can see, they're not going to do anything. Mo's training in Ethiopia at the moment. He's obviously not here, getting ready, we hope, and preparing well for London. Do you expect anything more to come of this? The press aren't going to let this go.
No, they're not, but what I would hope is that at these championships, that's it for the questions being asked on that now, because these championships, Mo Farah's not even here, as you said, and the future of the British team is here, and I'd like to see it more focused on their performances, on how well they're doing, and leave the questions for Mo to when he comes out and races, ask him to his face, and then get on with what's actually happening, on the good things that are happening, the way people are racing and performing here in the arena.
Well, somebody who's been performing very well, we're going to be seeing her shortly, would be Laura Muir in the next heat of the 3,000 metres. But first of all, it's been the Scots who've been leading the way in distance running, you have to say that. And somebody who is also having a cracking 2016 and into 2017 is Eilish McColgan. We've got, of course, another Scot in this as well, Steph Twell in the 3,000 metres. So flying the flag for Scotland in this one, Eilish McColgan, and that won't disappoint Andrew Cott.
Indeed, I'm entirely neutral on such matters, but Eilish McColgan was one of those, as Laura Muir is, who had the chance to double up here in the 15 and the 3,000. But McColgan, well, she's not been in top form health-wise recently, so just feeling a bit under the weather, so deciding that 4 races, as it would be if she were to go through in both the 15 and the 3,000, that was just a little bit too much. So concentrating on the 3,000, which would be her stronger event of the two in any case, deciding to to avoid the doubling up and go in the 3000. Again, she wasn't feeling too well in Birmingham, but still managed to run 8:43 there. Her personal best. Says that when she's in top form, she feels that she's in sort of 8:37, 8:38 position at the moment if she gets a clean run of health. She's been running very, very well. It's 4 go through automatically of the 2 heats here, and McColgan should have enough to do that, but there's a bit of competition. So Nuria Fernandez in there as well. Maureen Koster, bronze at the European Indoors in Prague a couple of years ago, and finished just behind McColgan in Birmingham in that race where Eilish McColgan ran 8:43. But there's the full lineup for this one. It was the steeplechase, which was her race of choice, but she was getting just too many injuries, and that sometimes can happen in the steeplechase, the impact of coming down off the barriers, and so decided to see what she had on the flat, and it's paying dividends at the moment. Again, being able to run injury-free. For a while, when she was doing steeplechase training, she just wasn't able to run. She was in cross trainers all the time, just because of the impact. But now that she can train, now that she's getting a good run at it, she's finally fulfilling her talent, her ability. They're down to 8:43 indoors in Birmingham. So all the eyes and all the concentration, so much focus has been on Laura Muir, but Eilish McColgan is in grand form. And with 4 to go through automatically here, again, she should, if she's feeling well enough, and again, she has mentioned she's not been particularly well recently, she should have plenty to go through. Dundee Hawk Hill Harrier, name really made famous by her mother. But others to look out for in this lineup, Paula, I mentioned Maureen Koster. Again, 4 to go through automatically. McColgan should have enough.
She should have enough, yeah. I think it comes down to how much not feeling under the weather has taken out of her, and she's taken the sensible decision, in my opinion, not to try and double up here, but just to focus on the 3,000 metres. And she needs to watch out for the dangers in this. We talked about Costa, but also Fernandez of Spain can be a danger in the closing stages. Barker, who's coming back from drug suspension, is another danger to watch out. Tuna as well. So there are dangers in there, and it's really for Eilish a question of staying out of trouble as well. 3,000 metres indoors. There's not too many girls in that race, but still she has long legs. She likes to be able to stride out, so you probably see her staying out of trouble in the early stages, I would think, and then moving through later on.
And of course, she would love to be one of the 4 automatic qualifiers, but there are 4 fastest losers positions. But when you're the first of 2 heats, you just have to trust that it's going to be fast enough. The women running in the second heat will have the advantage of knowing just how quickly they have to run. So a full look at the lineup. Hannah Klein of Germany, we saw her. Blanca Fernandez of Spain, the Spanish indoor champion. Koster of the Netherlands. Roxana Barca of Romania. Fernandez of Spain. McColgan, Tuna of Turkey, and Viola of Italy. She finished 3rd at the UK indoor. Viola, the Italian, and already just a steadying hand outstretched by McColgan in the early stages when things are a little bit cluttered, but she will hope that it just stretches out, as Paula said, to give her a bit more room. She has such a long stride, and she wouldn't want to get involved in any close quarter exchanges, but it's not a quick pace at all. It's a standstill at the moment, so she'll be looking for that to stretch out. I wonder if she might take it on herself.
She might. Eilish is deceptively quick. When she really gets moving, she can finish very, very fast, and she showed that in the 3,000 metres that she ran in Birmingham, where she really was almost last going into the last lap and then closed everybody down there. So she can respond and she can react quickly, but she will be happy to see that the pace has picked up a little bit, that Viola has said that's enough. I'm not letting the Spanish athletes control this too much. I'm going to get this race moving.
Yes, perhaps McColgan doesn't have a blistering change of pace immediate, but once she gets going, as you said, she does have a very, very good pace, but deciding again that 3,000 metres is perhaps just a better chance for her than the 1,500, and I think that's right.
Yeah, I think it's definitely right. I think 1,500, she doesn't have that second change of pace that she needs to, particularly 1,500 metres indoors, and she holds many more cards over the 3,000 metres. She's much more comfortable as well, and she knows more, she understands more about how to race it, so I think she's made absolutely the right decision. Had it been a straight final in one of them, maybe she could have gone for the 2 distances, but with heats and final for both 3,000 and 1,500 metres, there's no surprise really that Laura Muir is the only one who's taken on that challenge.
Well, there we are, though. It is Julia Viola. Mentioned finished 3rd at the UK Indoor, behind Eilish McColgan and Steph Twell, who had a very, very good race there in Sheffield, but it's Viola taking it out at the moment. Just a bit of a gap between the 2 groups there, but McColgan not too worried at the moment, but Viola sensibly lifting the pace. A reminder again, 4 will go through as fastest losers. Behind the 4 automatic qualifiers, 2 heats, and Laura Muir going in the next heat. And it's just beginning to stretch out a little bit. McColgan sitting there in 6th place at the moment.
Yeah, I think this is panning out well for Eilish. She's taken a little bit of look around her there. She probably knows that it's Maureen Costa right behind her, and she knows that Maureen would be one to watch in this race. So she's quite comfortable, I would say, with where she is and with the pace that's moving along. What needs to happen is somebody sooner or later is going to have to move up to help Viola with it, because she's not going to be able to maintain this pace and to keep it moving fast enough to guarantee or to give girls in this race a good chance of advancing as the fastest loser.
Well, McColgan just tucked in behind Nuria Fernandez, the 40-year-old Spanish athlete. It is Blanca Fernandez, the much younger, non-related Fernandez, who is sitting there in 2nd place behind Julia Viola at the moment, with Tuna, the Turkish athlete, the former European junior cross-country champion, in 3rd, and McColgan just beginning to make a little bit of a move with Maureen Costa behind her. So in a comfortable enough position at the moment.
Yes, she is looking very comfortable there. She's just moving out just to move up a couple of spaces and take a little bit closer order in this race, and I think we'll see Maureen Costa move with her.
So Viola there out in front with Blanca Fernandez close behind, and McColgan just beginning to put herself into a slightly more comfortable position, moving up alongside Hannah Klein, the German athlete, in 5th position as they move through.
Well, as they sweep past at the start of the back straight, they look to the left. They'll see Nafi Thiam has taken to the runway some nearly 2 hours after the start of the competition. The Belgian, very good at her opening height of 184. Well, what do we make of that? Let's have a good look at this. Really comfortable clearance for the Belgian youngster. Great start to the 2nd event of the pentathlon. Well, seen Elena Shuk of the Ukraine. We've seen a number of her attempts. She's had a lot of jumps, has to be said. 2nd time clearances at previous heights. This also her 2nd attempt at 184. Oh, yes, it stays put. And Shuk is clear, joining Thiam. So, really great effort from her. She's a competent high jumper, though. 192 at her best. Her competition continues. 187 is the next height.
The race beginning to get quite lively. It's all closed up once again. The pace continuing to move around at a fairly brisk. Costa sitting there in 4th place, and McColgan just staying out of things, out wide at the moment. But it had stretched out for a while, Paula, but then just closed up again.
Yeah, Viola did a good job of taking out the pace. 3:02 through the first 1,000 metres. It looks as though it's slowed a little bit, and the girls are now queuing up and getting closer, but part of that is because they are getting close to the 2,000 metre mark, and then they really need to be thinking about making moves. And as we say that, Klein goes to the front and just takes over the pace-making duties from Viola, who quickly reacts to that and is able to close that gap back to her. Eilish now moving forward around Fernandez, running a little bit wide, but I wouldn't be too worried about that. It's not significantly wide, and particularly indoors, it's better there and give her a chance to react and stay out of trouble.
Yeah, she's spent much of this race in lane 2, Eilish McColgan, just adding a little bit to her travels, but Hannah Klein now out in front with Julia Viola there, and Fernandez, junior, Blanca Fernandez, just ahead of her elder compatriot, Eilish McColgan in 3rd place at the moment, and Maureen Costa moving herself into a nice position as well. And just a bit of detachment now. There are 4 to go through automatically. A little group of 6 is separating itself from the two stragglers, Tuna at the back at the moment. But McColgan looking in a fairly decent position again, but just had to stick out an arm a couple of times as things come together. The athletes coming together, and there lies a bit of danger as Costa moves into second place behind Klein.
Yeah, she's a very rangy athlete as she runs, Eilish, and I think that probably poses a few questions and dilemmas for the other athletes, particularly the two Fernandezes sitting behind her there, because to react and come around her, that's a long way that they've got to go, and that's why they're trying to take more of an inside line, and Viola holding on to that at the moment and not allowing them to do that.
700 metres to go, and Maureen Costa out in front with Hannah Klein tucked in behind, and the Dutch athlete Costa. It says bronze at the European Indoors in Prague a couple of years ago, just able to have a little look around now, see where she is, and Klein is there, and Eilish McColgan again still in a good position, 4 going through automatically, and McColgan, the tall figure, sits in third at the moment, just ahead of Viola and Fernandez, Blanca Fernandez, and Nuna Fernandez rather, and Blanca Fernandez is beginning to lose just contact at the moment, so we're down to 5 athletes now clear, racing for 4 automatic places.
Yeah, I think Nuria Fernandez in her prime would have been the big danger now in this race. I don't know whether at 40 years of age she still has the same turn of speed that she used to have. She was also quite notorious for causing trouble. I think I remember her getting into a tussle with Lisa Dobrisky in the World Champs in 2009. But she now should be able to react, but it is a danger there for Eilish, who needs to be aware of where people are around her and maybe get herself back out into that position on the outside, which she was holding for so much of this race, because now she's slightly in danger of being boxed.
Yes, and Costa out in front, little gap back to the group of 4, although Viola now beginning to close in. Here comes Eilish McColgan, you'll see just stretching out again, that long stride, getting back in touch and trying to leave behind Nuria Fernandez, really. Hannah Klein is there, but it's still five as Fernandez digs in again, holding in and holding on for the hope of one of those 4 automatic qualifying places. Costa and Viola and Klein and McColgan. It's, well, not quite dangerous yet, but Nuria Fernandez is still there. And we don't know how quick that second heat might be, but here comes McColgan now, putting on a turn of speed and leaving Klein for the moment. Nuria Fernandez again digging in. It's Costa and Viola and Eilish McColgan almost leaning forward, able to look round and see Klein and Nuria Fernandez still there, but McColgan should have enough. Again, you can see the effort on her face. Costa looks comfortable enough out in front. Viola's there. McColgan, in fact, just about takes second or third place, and Nuria Fernandez in 4th, and Hannah Klein just run out of it. The German athlete, 4 through automatically. Well, that was hard work for Eilish McColgan. It looked to be quite hard, and perhaps she says she's not been well, and perhaps it took just a little bit more out of her, but through in the end, and a chance to try and recover for Sunday's final. Eilish McColgan safely through.
Yeah, safely through, and I think doesn't look as though she's expended too much energy, and a little bit of relief there. Heats are stressful. They're stressful trying to maintain enough energy or keep enough energy in the bank to be able to use in the final, but also you've got to run hard enough to be able to make sure that you are in that final. And I think with Eilish, what we see is that it just takes her that time just to wind up and get into the pace to move past. And then once she had started to wind up here, she's closing very fast, and she's actually looking the best of those 5 at this point, but it just takes her time to get to that, and you can see how high her heel comes up behind her and how much she kind of rakes with that stride. Contrast that to Klein, who's much shorter, and Fernandez, who just uses all of her experience to wait and then move through on the inside. Fairly confident that Hannah Klein will still qualify as a fastest loser, but good to see Eilish looking controlled, not quite as controlled as Maureen Costa did, in making sure that she stayed out of trouble and went through easily in that race. But Eilish, I think, has time to recover and come back strong now.
Well timed it, judged it pretty well. Through in second place behind Maureen Costa, and Eilish McColgan chatting now to Phil.
Eilish, well done, tremendous performance. Tell me what it was like for you, because I know you've had a bit of a cold recently, maybe not been on top form exactly.
Yeah, I think today was about sort of rust busting the legs a little bit. I've never done a championship indoors, so it's just, yeah, it's a world apart from the outdoors. Especially even just doing heats and rounds. It's not something that I've done a lot of actually in the past. So yeah, no, I'm pleased with that. I mean, I'm through to the final, which is what I came to do today. I maybe felt a little bit more flat than I would have liked, but I think you're always going to have that after travelling, and But yeah, I've got that in my legs now, so I've got a full day off, and then hopefully come back on Sunday and run close. If I can run a PB, I'll be over the moon.
Paula was just talking about how stressful actually the heats are. People don't realise maybe you're going to negotiate that before you think of anything else, finals and medals. And
yeah, it's totally different. Obviously, it's not a true run race. It's always very slow. The bends are very. Obviously, I'm quite a tall creature, so me on the short bends is quite tough. But the main thing today was staying out of trouble. I think I did that. I maybe stayed a bit too far out for the whole way, but yeah, it's you're worried about getting clipped. The last thing you want is going down. So no, as I say, job done and through to the final. So hopefully, I think I don't think we'll have a slow pace in the final with Laura Muir around and Yasmin Khan of Turkey. I think it'll be a true run race, which I'm excited about.
Great run today. We'll see you in the final.
Cheers, thanks for that. Thank you.
So Eilish McColgan safely through, quite a tall creature, her words. Second place behind Maureen Coster, Julia Viola and Nuria Fernandez, the veteran, also going through automatically. Hannah Klein, that might well be quick enough to see her through in any case.
So from one successful Scot to another, what a 12 months or so it's been for Laura Muir. Not the result she wanted in Rio, of course. However, everything else she's done has been so impressive. Steph Twell, the other British competitor in this second heat of the women's 3,000 metres. And Eilish mentioned Yasemin Can of Turkey, the European cross-country champion from December. Be interesting to see how she goes here as well. Top four, the same as that first heat, and four fastest losers. It was a reasonably quick, just looking at 8:57, and fastest loser, well, one quick fastest loser, and there was a bit of a gap. So Hannah Klein of Germany losing out in that sort of top five race, but then there was a bit of a gap after that. So anything around 9 minutes, then you've got a good chance of going through, even if you're not in the top four. Kudzilic, a familiar figure, won a silver at this, or in this event in 2015. Well, Laura Muir, in her early career, had one or two memories she wouldn't want to conjure up about indoors, but she's a very different athlete now. Alina Ray, another good junior athlete from Germany as well, good cross-country runner. She's 19 years of age, and a new big personal best, 8:53. So Laura Muir, Steph Twell with other familiar names, athletic fans will know, Bobichel, Ray, a bunch of kind of cross-country people in here. But this, track running, and for Laura Muir, the first of 45 laps. If you were with us at the very beginning this morning, we were mentioning how busy she's going to be. The only athlete, there was a few had registered for 2 events, the only one who's actually taking it on. Heats of the 3,000 metres this morning, then she's got about 5 hours, about less than 5 hours. She's in heat 1 of the 1,500 metres this evening, quite early this evening, and then she'll have the final of the 1,500 metres tomorrow, and then the final of this event, the 3,000 metres, on Sunday. So anyway, here she goes. Lots of laps to come over the weekend. I bet you there's not many laps where she's not in the front, Paula.
Probably not too many, but then that's a safer place to be and a better place to be, and maybe she can use it as a little bit of a position to control the field. Certainly, I think a lot of the competitors, maybe not so much in the heats, but once we get to the final, will have all eyes on Laura Muir, and will be watching and almost planning their races around what they anticipate Laura can do. And it's whether Laura can go out and stick to her plan, but also adapt to what the others do when she gets to that final. But first she has to negotiate safely through this.
Well, she's already having an effect, because Laura's not interested in going that quick. Why should she? She's so fast. And of course they're all going, oh, hang on, Laura Muir's in the front. And as you're right, you are right, everybody looks to Laura, but as I said at the beginning, they've all got a chance of going through here. Now Ray, she first came, I think certainly last year we thought she should win the European Juniors, maybe even this year. She's had 3 top 4 finishes as a junior, a bit like Steph, a great junior career. Actually flew in, Steph came quite late yesterday. She's got work commitments these days, she was telling me, so but she's enjoying that and enjoying the mix that she's got going at the moment. She's running well at the moment, Steph. I mean, we're all looking at Laura Muir, but Steph will certainly be hoping to join Eilish McColgan and Laura Muir in the final. No reason why she can't, particularly if they get this pace moving a bit. And the other cross-country specialist, as I said, the European senior champion from Turkey, Can, on the outside of Ray.
Yes, at the moment, Ray and Chan are the ones keeping the pace moving. Ray does have pedigree on the track. I mean, she's double European junior champion on the track, very experienced and still only 19 years old. So she's still, I don't know, technically not a junior this year, but she's only just taken that step out of the junior ranks. And she's getting this pace moving along. Chan having an easy ride and staying out of trouble at the moment. And Steph Twell got herself in a good position because I think it's in Steph's interest that this pace moves along. Laura, we don't really need to worry about too much. She's going to get herself into that qualifying position no matter what in this race, but Steph will certainly benefit from this pace, just moving along slightly below 9-minute pace and giving them all a chance of advancing through.
You couldn't blame Laura Muir for a nice try. You know, guys, can we just jog a good few laps so that you know, I've got some heats later on in the 1500, but you know, they're running their own race here, and Ray doing a good job of, after that first 400 meters, which was pretty slow, getting things moving along. Already a little bit of a gap appearing here. Kudzelic is in the red, on the all red of Belarus, just trying to make sure the gap doesn't appear, and she moves up quickly to take closer order, around about 3 minutes, so that's fine. As I said, you know, 8 people, or certainly 7 or 8, could go through with the time of around 9 minutes, so they just need to keep this pace going.
Yeah, that's all they need to do. And just as they came down that straight there, I was wondering why Bobachel was sat right at the back, but she has just now moved forward to take a little bit of a closer order in this race, just realizing that those slight gaps are starting to open up, and not all of the girls in this race will be capable of going with a 9-minute pace. So those gaps are going to start to open up pretty quickly now.
So Laura Muir just behind her teammate Steph Twell. 2 of them in 4th and 5th at the moment. Lozano's moved up. So little gaps appearing. Kudzelic doesn't look that comfortable, to be fair. Looks like she's working pretty hard. She's only run 9:12 this year, Paula, so maybe that is why. As I said, silver medalist, and she was in good form a couple of years ago, was running very well at that period. It doesn't look as though she's finding this pace too comfortable at the minute. Bobachel just hanging on to it, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so 8 there, and the one fastest loser spot was Hannah Klein of 8:58. She finished 5th in that first race, so you'd think 7 definitely. You wouldn't want to be 8th in this.
No, you definitely wouldn't want to be, and I think that's why the girls keep glancing up at that screen. They should have all of this information. They have the opportunity to watch the previous heat over the barriers and to be able to take notes of those times, and with experienced racing heats, they should all have done that. Certainly someone like Steph Twell will know exactly what she needs to do and is thinking about that already. She's getting herself into a position where should Ray and Chan start to falter with this pace and Foucault doesn't take it on, then she's in a position to be able to do that.
Well, Laura's coach, Andy Young, won't be too far away. He never is. And great character, Andy, and he's done a fantastic job with Laura Muir and building a nice little group in Scotland as well. But Laura was down in South Africa with the rest of the British kind of middle distance group. Steph Twell still with Mick Woods, of course. That relationship has borne so much fruit over the years, and the two of them just watching now as Jan just picks up the pace a little bit, the two of them moving into proper qualifying positions. And this is good for Steph Twell. We know Laura Muir can turn on the burners whenever she wants to. Not quite so easy for Steph, so this good, hard pace will suit her very much indeed.
Yeah, at this point, definitely suiting Steph Twell more probably than Laura Muir. She does have that very short recovery before she comes back to quite a tough 1500-meter heat this afternoon. So she will have half an eye on trying to treat this almost as a warm-up, if she can, for that 1500 meters and save energy for the finals coming up. And that's why you can see that gap opening up a little bit. Steph knows that if she can go with Chan and get a little bit of a daylight and a break away from the others chasing, then that's helping her cause a lot. Laura doesn't necessarily need to do that. She knows that should it come down to a finish, she has the beating of the rest of the girls in this race, so she can get herself out of trouble if she leaves it to the last 400 meters for that 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th place if she keeps an eye on the clock.
Yeah, and she's just being sensible. She's actually got quite a tough heat. I mean, she's in brilliant shape. But in the 1500 meters, she's got the other very good young German, Klosterhalfen, who also at one point was registered for the 3000. and I'm trying to think who else is in there. Noe, the Polish athlete. So she's probably had a look at that and thought, all right, only top two, I'm going to have to run pretty hard in the 1500 heats, perhaps. So why not make it just comfortable here? She just has to finish 4th. She's in 5th place now. So Steph 12's the one who's probably just going to have to be careful as well. I mean, they're all running quick enough, as you say, Paula. The top 6 or 7, I think, definitely will go through here. Steph 12, 2nd place. Bit of a gap behind Jan, about 5 meters to go with 5 meters between her. That gap getting bigger, more like 10 now. Less than 600 meters to go.
Yeah, the gap getting bigger to Chan, and she doesn't really need to do this. She should be looking up at that screen now and just backing off a little bit. Behind them is the group that needs to keep moving and maintain that gap back to Bobichel, and then possibly, I would say, all of that group there have a chance of advancing, because at the moment the pace is good and is ahead of the places behind Klein in the first heat.
It's funny, as we see Jan go through, then we've got Steph 12, then Alina Rey of Germany, then Fugberg and Laura Muir and Lozano in a little group of 3. And if you're Fugberg and Lozano, you're probably thinking that I'd like to move out of this little group, because Laura Muir is certainly more than capable of out-kicking them as they move into the last 300 meters, or less than 300 meters now. Chan will come round to take the bell this time, and is lapping her teammate. So Turkey leading it, Chan in front, lapping her teammate, and then Steph 12 in 2nd place, looking good for qualification. In fact, they all are here. Ray, Fugberg, Laura Muir just doing enough, Lozano, and this is smart running from the British women.
Fugberg there knows, doing exactly what you said, Steve. She's working as hard as she can to try and close that gap on Ray, because she knows that once Laura Muir kicks there, she's coming easily past them to be able to get into that 4th position. The danger here is the lapped athlete, who might cause confusion now.
So those 4, only 3 of them will get an automatic spot, so let's see what happens at the end here. A little bit of a sprint on. Steph 12's got to hang on now. Laura Muir has decided 5th's okay. She knows how fast they're running, so she doesn't even bother finishing in the top 4. And it'll make headlines back home. Laura Muir only goes through as the fastest loser. But smart running from Laura, that's all she had to do. Steph 12 through, Eilish McColgan through, and that's going to be a nice final to look forward to come Sunday, but a lot more running for Laura Muir before then. She'll be back in, what, 4.5 hours for the 1500-meter heats. But well done this morning for those 2.
Yeah, and I think that shows a big step up in the maturity of Laura Muir as well. If you contrast that with the only possible place I would pick her up in Rio is that she did enter into a little bit of a competition in the heats and in the rounds, and maybe expended a little bit too much energy in the semi there. Certainly no danger of that. She was thinking on her feet down that home straight, calculating, knowing that Klein had run 8:58 and that she was going to be comfortably under that. She didn't even try and expend any more energy than she needed to. Good for Steph 12 as well. She looked very strong.
Yeah, really impressive. Ray coming through, Fugberg as well. Don't forget Chan was out ahead of these. Maureen Costa looked pretty good. I mean, it's hard to see anybody giving Laura Muir too much to think about. No Sifan Hassan here, of course. So you think come the 3000, it's just been a question of how tired she is. And what the athletes will be hoping is that she has a hard heat, a hard final in the 1500, and somebody may then, Chan perhaps, take it out hard come the final.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what the others will be thinking, and the girls in the 1500 metres as well, specifically the likes of Noe, who can finish very, very fast, will just be hoping that Laura Muir just takes a little bit too much out of herself here through all these rounds and through the finals, and then is just too fatigued to be able to run as strongly as she normally does.
Well, this is unofficial at the moment, but this is how it looked, and you can see those fastest losers, Laura Muir, Lozano and Bobichel all going through. And qualifying by rights was Steph 12, and I think she's with Phil now.
She is indeed, Steve. Laura Muir, understandably, has gone through the mix zone. She's got a 1500-meter race to come, but your job's done for the day, and what a job well done.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I wanted to make it a smooth, easy run and not having too much of a change of pace, so I was really happy to get a run out today.
How much does it help you going in a second heat like that, when you know the time, you know what you've got to aim for, really?
I think it helps just to kind of like move the legs a little bit, take away the rustiness of a bit of training and getting myself into race mode. So that for me was quite special to then go into the final, and now I know I'm ready, what I'm ready for. So
And in the final, we're going to see 3 Scots representing Great Britain, which is fantastic. How much can you help each other as teammates and out on the track?
I think definitely leading into the race we'll be helping each other, and at points in the race, if we're close to each other, I think there'll definitely be that camaraderie to keep each other going. It's going to be a tough race. There's lots of Turkish athletes who look strong at the moment, so it's just about getting out there and trying to be as strong as possible and put our flag on the track, really.
Well, an excellent race today. We wish you well for the final on Sunday. Thanks a lot, Steph.
Cheers, thanks Phil, thanks.
Well, the action's been happening in field. Nafi Tiam, 187, a clean sheet. This only her second jump in the second event of the pentathlon. To clear at 187, as you see there, very comfortably indeed. PB over the hurdles first thing this morning. First of 5 events, moves on to the second. Probably her best of the 5. Tiam's assault on the title here in good shape. So this is Yana Maximova of Belarus. Third attempt at 187. 195, her best indoor, a very proficient high jumper. Weak long jump, surprisingly, but looking to squeeze out as much as she can, and does. Successful at the third and final attempt at 187. And it obviously doesn't matter where the clearance comes, it's all about the points accumulated across the 5 events for these multi-eventers. Maximova in second place as we stand behind Tiam. Ivona Dadic of Austria has had 2 personal bests already, and another one. 187, wow. Came into this competition with a lifetime best of 180. Clear at 84 on the second attempt, and this high to 187 at the third time of asking for the 23-year-old Austrian European bronze medalist from last year. Looks as though she's made some improvements in her work since the end of last summer's season. Lena Shuk of the Ukraine. Well, we've followed her progress. She's waiting for the athletes to sweep past sensibly as she steps out. So then, third attempt at 187. Oh, wow, what a shame. That was as close as you get. 3 fouls. Well, we're back live in this high jump. Nafi Tiam has gone clear at 190 in the second attempt. 193. Oh, yes. Well, we mentioned earlier she cleared 198. She may be in that sort of shape here today. Quite compact, her strides on the approach there. PB over those hurdles, life in the legs, executed well in this second event. There's Dadic. She's actually got up into second place behind the Belgian. The next height is 196, and Tiam out in front.
Well, it's been busy all morning, hasn't it? It still continues. Women's 60-metre hurdles heats, they're all out there ready now. We have a non-starter in lane 6, actually the 4th-ranked athlete in Europe, so a bit of a surprise she's not there. Rogemeyer, Kolacek, Lobe of Germany, Pedersen and Kozak. Let's go down them one by one. As I said there, Noe Ivancevic, who certainly would have been a contender. Croatian, I'm sure would have got a few cheers in Serbia, but not there. So lane 6 is empty, so we've got Rogemeyer in lane 3 on the far side, Kolacek of Poland, and the one of 3 Germans who could go well in this race, or in this event, sorry, Ricarda Lobe, and then Isabel Pedersen of Norway, and Kozak of Hungary nearest the camera. Well, they get away, and Kolicek got away much quicker than everybody else, but look at closest to the camera, Pedersen going very well indeed, under 8 seconds this year, and she's just outside it this time, 8:02. And wasn't the best start from her, but once she got moving, very good indeed. A little bit of pressure taken off her because qualification was top 3 anyway. It's not that hard with Ivancevic not being there, Colin. All you can do really is make a mistake, and she didn't. So she'll be pleased to get that out of the way.
Yeah, no, more than capable of those type of times, Steve. We've seen her produce it already in winter. But you know, Lobert, she was very laboured in the block, wasn't she, the German? Really gentle, didn't have any really effort, and she found herself chasing all the way. But the Norwegian, well, she's flawless, isn't she? Beautiful, snappy, could even relax as she came in toward this line. Complete contrast that to the German, who'll be very disappointed, no doubt, because she just sat in the back. Look, already she's chasing. But good rhythm from all these women, really. It's still time for them to unwind, really. You know, a technical event like this, you need to warm up well, get it undo. Jim clobbered that barrier there, didn't she? Threw her off slightly, but still good and aggressive to make for good.
You've always said, Colin, I mean, what you can't do is, you can't sort of take it easy. You should look at this and go, right, I'm going to be easy qualifying here, but, and yeah, the one thing she can do is make sure she doesn't make a false start, but then after that, it's business as usual.
You got to crack on, Steve, right there from the very, very beginning, because you've got to get used to this track. Well, already we spoke about it, haven't we, how it's been built up, so it's a bit bouncy. That can cause you to throw you onto the barriers, which you don't want to have that. You want to experience it as much as you can, so it is important that you really test yourself, literally flat out.
Talking about flat, 8 flat, the winning time.
Well, Nafi Tiam, you can see there, carries a failure at this new height of 196. Good support from the small crowd. And this, her second attempt, is clear. Wow. Delight for coach. And what an effort that is. And we talked about this earlier. The individual event at the Olympic Games was won in 197, just 1 centimetre higher. Tiam is a formidable high jumper and consistent. Tony, a few mentions of the surface down there. I know you're down there, stood next to the high jump mat. Is it bouncy?
It is bouncy because it's been put on boards, but it's a great jumping surface the way she's going. The only difficulty Tiam's having is not on getting lift. It's more about a clearance. She's just mistiming the arch over the bar. That seems to be the thing that she's struggling with, but no, in great shape. So an additional 2 centimetres on her indoor personal best in pentathlon terms, that's an extra 24 points. She's now pushing towards that 4,900 point finishing score if everything's going well.
Yeah, potentially on world record schedule. We'll get Tony to do a little tuck jump to see how bouncy it is. Nafi Tiam, 199, no. Well, second time failure. And what went wrong there, Tony?
Just needs a little more lift. It's about timing. The higher the bar goes, the longer you've got to wait in terms of going vertical and then clearing the bar after that. So just the timing. I think the first round you get a look at 199 because remember, this is a PB. So this is a personal best for her, indoors or outdoors. What's going through her mind now is she'll know that, and therefore she'll try a little bit hard, maybe snatch at it a little bit, and that's kind of what you're seeing. But
what has she got to do in the last round, Tony?
Oh, clear the bar, I think is the obvious thing to say. But
thanks
no,
for that, Coach.
I think it's just work the vertical. Wait a little bit longer, and then just time going around that bar.
And Tony now peering down the track there because they're ready for the second heat in the first round of the women's 60 metres hurdles. The semi-final later on today and the final as well late this evening. Pamela Dudkovic, the German athlete, goes here, and with 2 to go through automatically, rather 3 to go through automatically. I think she and Anna Zagre and perhaps Nadine Visser on the inside will be the 3 likeliest contenders for those automatic qualifying places. Good run by Isabel Pedersen in the first heat. So this is the full lineup. Nadine Visser of the Netherlands, Stephanie Bendrat of Austria, Elvira Herman, Elin Westerlund, Anna Zagre, Pamela Dudkovic and Rita Hurska of Finland. on the outside. Second of 4 heats in the first round of the women's 60 metres hurdles. No British women involved in this race. Let's nip it back swiftly to the high jump in the pentathlon.
Teil 199. Well, third and final attempt at this height. Well, she seemed to get stuck there, but that was really close. The coach knows how close that was. Nafi Teil, 3 fouls, but great performance, 196 to add to her personal best in the sprint hurdles. Let's have another look at this. Just spent a little longer on the floor for me, but very close at 199. Would have been a lifetime best, not meant to be today, but 196, very, very good indeed. Tony, that was close. Well, there you can see 3 fouls, but the clearance of 196 adds significant points for the Belgian. Probably too early to talk about assaults on world records, but we'll see for 3 events remaining.
So back to the second heat in the first round of the women's 60 metres hurdles. I mentioned just before we went to see Nafi Teil, no British women taking part in this event, which is a bit of a shame. Although actually with Tony Minicello down there in the infield, should mention that Alicia Barrett, who is coached by Tony, has been running well. Ran 8:19 to break the British junior indoor record. So Pamela Durkovic goes in this one for Germany in lane 7. Again, a reminder, 3 go through automatically. Anna Zagre of Belgium inside her. Nadine Visser, who's perhaps better known as a heptathlete, goes in lane 2. And they would perhaps be the 3 who'd fancy their chances of going through as the automatic qualifiers. There is Visser, 8th in the heptathlon at the World Championships in Beijing. 2 years ago rather, goodness me. And she won the hurdles there actually in 12:81 from Jessica Ennis-Hill, 12:91. That's still her PB in the 100 hurdles. Stephanie Bendrat of Austria outside her. Elvira Hermann of Belarus, the 19-year-old, goes in lane 4. Elin Westerlund of Sweden in 5. Anna Zagre of Belgium in 6. Dudkovic there of Germany in lane 7. And Rita Hurska of Finland in lane 8. Second of 4 heats in the first round of the women's 60 metres hurdles. Well, again, I was about to say cleanly away, but bit my tongue, held my tongue, and they clatter through a few barriers and back they come. So very nervous moments for somebody. Colin Jackson keeping his eagle eye on proceedings.
Yeah, I found it really difficult to call most of the false starts today. They've only just been fraction. Let's have a look at that.
Oh, that is a fraction. That is 300ths of a second, Anna Zagre, and 400ths of a second, Rita Hurska. So that's why we couldn't see it with the naked eye.
It's just literally hundreds and thousands there. You can hardly see them move. It's going to be interesting because he has actually the ability, the starter, to disqualify both athletes, because anybody who moves before the gun is fired for that 10th of a second reaction time are eligible to be disqualified. So not just only the person who seems to do the false start, can be anybody who goes under that particular time. So let's see what they're going to do.
Again, with the naked eye, you won't see too much. Hurska then perhaps, you know, again, we know now because we know reaction time, so we can, the joy of hindsight and technology, but Hurska was perhaps slightly, by a fraction, the first to rise. So the brain's trust does its thing. Mulls over things. It's been a long morning. Started with this sort of fun and games, and it's getting close to ending with it as well. But again, it was by the slightest of fractions. While we wait.
Well, here's the result of that high jump. Nafi Teil, 196, way ahead of the field there, Maximava. Personal best for Dadic of Austria, She leaps up into second place overall, but Nafi Tiam, 2,261 points after 2 events, with shot put, long jump and 800 metres remaining all today. Some great action to look forward to. And there are those points allocated after 2 events. Dadic, a significant gap behind the leader. Tiam, the Olympic champion, destined to become European indoor champion, it would seem. Brusson, the world indoor champion from 2014, in 4th place.
Well, we're coming to the end of our coverage here on BBC Two, and we will stay with those hurdle races on the BBC website after midday. But we just want to quickly reflect on what's been a very, very busy morning, not least for me, going backwards and forwards. I feel like I've been doing an interval session today, getting a little bit of extra training in. Don't forget, we're going to be back later on today on BBC Two. As I said, the coverage will continue. More British action, of course, tonight. We've got the semi-finals of the 60-metre hurdles. Looking forward to that. And of course, Laura Muir will be back again in the heats of the 1,500 metres. But for now, I hope you've enjoyed this first coverage of the first morning here at the European Indoor Championships.
Prime Minister Theresa May has been making the case to Scottish Conservatives for what she calls our precious union. The latest in daily politics next.